The 8-speed, yes, we could tune it. Yes, it will live. Yes, you could have fun with it, but it will not be as fast as a Turbo 400, as consistent as a Turbo 400. I hear it all the time. People are like, oh, I don't want to put a MoTec on my car. It's not a race car. I'm like, even more of a reason to put it on your car because you're not treating it like a race car.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Minnoxide podcast. I'm your host, Harris, aka Minnoxide, man of many automotive aspirations, and I'm here with my Ford-loving co-host.
I knew that was coming this time. You didn't pull that out earlier this week, but...
Dan, Mr. Gunna Garage.
I don't think I've ever been more stared down in enemy territory than I am right now. I'm looking at all these Camaros staring over my shoulder right now.
There's a Ford right there. We're all right.
Yeah. He's got his heart ripped out, but that's fine.
Yeah, Ford exclamation, or no, what was it? Quotation marks. Yeah, it's okay, swing and a miss. And today we are at, I'm going to read the sign, Accelerated Racing Solutions, here with Brandon Weber and Tiana Weber. Hi, guys.
Hi.
So I wanted to quickly give a shout out to Justin and Eric Simpson for getting us all connected because we're looking for folks to do podcasts down here in Texas. And, obviously we did our Cobb one. And it's great that we get to meet you. And then I pieced it together that you guys run a Netflix show.
Yep.
Back in 18, but 2019. So Fastest Car. You guys do a lot of cool stuff here. Honestly, I'm just going to let you guys introduce yourselves. We'll kick it off from there and see where it goes. So tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Man, I don't even know where to start. So we met in high school, the two of us, at a car show. I had a 94 5.0 Mustang, and she had a 69 Camaro. And prior to that, her dad dropped her off in the 69 Camaro, and the real thought was I'm gonna marry this chick. All the way back then. She had the coolest car back then. Dated through high school. After that, I went to UTI, learned about cars is really where I started professionally. I worked at Sears and an oil change place. While I was going to school, I'd go sleep at her house for the 1 hour of time I had between school and that. And then I moved into BMW for about 12 years. I worked with BMW. And then from there, pretty much was breaking my back on commuting from Ranch Cucamonga to Glendale every day, and kind of pushed us into opening our own shop. We did a lot of stuff in the garage, so when we opened the shop in 2016, everybody was like, oh, thank God, you finally are opening something, We opened the shop in 2016, and fuck, I don't know.
Well, we were racing, so that's what put us together, even in high school. We would compete, who's faster? Am I faster? Is he faster? And then we'd compete with that. So then when someone introduced us to Irwindale, and we didn't stop going, we would go every Thursday. So everybody knew us from that. We would be
building our own cars in the garage basically back then, and just racing them, breaking them every week, repeat, race was a build, race, break, repeat constantly. She had a GT Mustang back then too, so and
it was an actual Ford Mustang.
It was actually a Ford motor.
2-valve. Sadly, that was a mistake. But I learned from those mistakes. I went with a really popular engine builder then, because I don't even want to say it.
Yeah.
And I paid a lot of money for a lot of fucked up shit.
First time we maxed out credit cards for race cars.
Yeah, but one thing that made us open up our shop from these experiences is they would sell me on basic stuff like a plenum spacer, a throttle body, an intake, and they knew I was a drag racer. All they had to give me was a torque converter, right? Something with drag racing that would make me go faster, not all this throttle body, plenum spacer that literally does nothing, right? People like to say what parts they have, rather than what can it do for them. If they can list off more parts, even if it doesn't gain them any power.
Or it gives you 7 horsepower total.
Right? Yeah. And which a torque converter is not going to give you any power, but it will knock off over a half a second in an eighth mile or a second in the quarter. So it's that's what, when we opened up our business, I was I don't want to sell people fluff.
Yep.
Right? So it's I want to sell people what they want their car for, whether if they're just wanting it louder, or if they're wanting to go faster in a drag strip, how can I get away with all this thermostat or, just little things that just aren't necessary.
Yeah. And back then we were building them in the garage. I swapped a Nissan 240 with an LS7. I had an LS1 car, and we were going to other tuners. And back then I had to rely on people for tuning, and that was kind of gave us the itch to learn the tuning. We put torque converters and stuff. I've blown cars up and traded them into CarMax. Like I did all the dumb shit when I was younger. And you know, we used to spray cars like 150 shot no tune, or you had the Granatelli tuner where you could just like add 1 or 2 degrees, like it barely did anything.
Well, I knew when he was wanting to do this, I was like, you were smart enough, not only mechanically, but you know how the engine works and what it needs, like you can tune it too. So that's where I really pushed him, like, hey, tune your own stuff. Let's buy the most obnoxious things, put it together, and you make it work.
And back then, like that Chevy SS was like a super unique car. Like we didn't even know what it was even when we bought it. It was an LS3 4-door car back in 2016. Put a huge cam in it, huge torque converter in it. E85 wasn't really big back then. Like people were doing it, but not like it is today. So we learned how to do all that, and we just beat the shit out of our own car. We went to the track every week with it, and we started getting customers slowly, a little bit through that. At that time, I was still working with BMW, full-time job, you know, making really good money. But I was commuting so much back and forth.
He was killing himself.
Yeah, like I fell asleep driving, woke up in the back of other people's cars. I was making good money, but in California, like it was really expensive to live there, and then you had half the money gone in taxes, so you're just beating yourself to nothing. So we slowly just kind of ramped up the shop real slow, and there was like a breaking point with BMW at some point where I was like, all right, we're done. We have enough work where we could stay full time. It was kind of a scary moment. Like I had a cush job, 401k, huge paycheck, just steady. Like I could have still been working there today, and we just went full time at our shop, and it was scary. You know, we didn't know where the next paycheck was coming from, and the business just grew itself, and we really back then strived on a lot of the shops maybe we had dealt with, or you know, as growing up in the car community, cars would sit for months, 3-4 months. So we really took pride in only bringing in cars even back then when we were ready to work on them, when we had the parts. Like we didn't take pride on filling our shop with cars. We have a lot of stuff here today, but everything has a reason on why it's here and what we're waiting for. Back then we didn't bring cars in too soon. So we really took care of the customer. We did a lot of track support and worked our way up through there. We're at that Irwindale track every Thursday racing, so we're very present in the racing community.
The first question that comes to mind here, right, because we often have listeners that are trying to make that jump from working their day jobs to when do I become a full-time owner? What was that kind of like threshold? It's like, all right, maybe it's time to do this full-time. Because giving up a job, especially one that pays decently, it's like that's scary.
Well, then to open a business in California, I'm sure is extra not.
Yeah.
It's not like you're a shit canned like me. It's like you're choosing to leave something.
No, when I had left at that time, I was making like $350,000 a year, like really good career. And you paid half in taxes. So when you filed your taxes, you're like, well, this fucking sucks. And then you're driving and spending 3-4 hours a day on the road. And that was kind of the breaking point right there, is just how much time I was spending away from the house. I would leave at 4:30 in the morning, get back at 7 o'clock at night. And then we had the shop kind of as a fun on the side kind of thing. Like it wasn't like a real full-time job. It was kind of like our own.
I was just promoting it. Like it was my full-time job.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, kind of, because I wanted it to work, right? I was the one like, we need a shop.
And how long ago were you guys together at this point?
So the shop's been open for 9 years in April, this coming April.
Okay.
So that was the full-time switch was in 2017, and we got together in 2000. We knew each other from 2000. We were officially a couple in 2004. We got married in like 2010. So we had known each other since
Quite a while.
2000. Yeah, from freshman year of high school on.
So it took us a year to like really make it a full-time. So that's him coming home at night after his full-time job, working on it nights and weekends. And for a year for me to tell him, okay, we have enough work that you can quit your job. Is this all right?
I think the actual push was falling asleep and waking up in the back of someone's car.
Really?
Yeah.
Like on the freeway, just woke up and I was in a car accident. But it was from that many hours. And even if you put the shop aside and you didn't have the shop, just commuting 3 to 4 hours a day in LA
that what it
traffic.
was?
Yeah. Easy 3 hours every single day. So you leave
It's like an hour and a half each way sort of
Yeah,
deal.
and sometimes
I'm not a city girl.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to live in, a city.
middle of Glendale, like it would have been 1.2 million for a house that was built in the 20s, and this was back in like 16. Now it's like 2 million.
Yeah.
But it just had no interest in it, and it wasn't a passion. Like I liked what I did. I'd always been in cars. I'd worked my way up.
He did like what he did.
I was a mechanic, then I was a service writer, then service manager, and then I pretty much ran the dealership just under the owner, like general manager position, split up. It was great. I loved it, but it wasn't a passion like this stuff. So this stuff was always a passion.
The push, like what you asked, like what would push someone to do that is like, is this something you really enjoy? Whether it's, if you love scuba diving, do you want to be a scuba instructor? You'll make it work. You'll make it profitable, right? If you really like what you're doing. So I was able to help him like do what he likes and he enjoys doing it. And we have to regulate that so I don't burn him out.
Right.
Right? Because that could be easy.
Well, having that support structure probably helps too, right?
But two of us we're oil in our bloods. We love this. Her dad, raised her in a garage. Like, not my side so much, her side actually more than mine. I got into it as a passion and we met through it. So
I probably pushed him more to it. Yeah.
Did you have a job that you were working then at that time too, or?
Couple different
I'm like
ones.
a gypsy. I was an esthetician, a makeup artist for 13 years. I did sales, accounting. I go with the flow.
Yeah.
But something in our heads popped up like, let's just get a building, let's get a lift and a dyno, and let's just build our own 2 cars. And then it was like, well, we should make a name. So we like started drawing out the name, and I'm like,
I still have that picture. We're sitting in Glendale. I just worked
it has to
day.
be an A because it needs to be the first thing that someone sees is A, right? You don't want to be the last on the list.
Yeah, back when a phone book was a thing, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be the first one that comes
just out
down.
of the MySpace era,
Yeah.
We drew out the logo because I just wanted to put a name to the place where we were building our own cars. And then it kind of came like, oh, wait, you have a shop? Like, will you do my car? And we're like, well, shit.
I'll never forget like the first customer that brought like 25 grand, right, to build like heads cam converter Chevy SS. And I was like, wait, someone just brought me money to do this? And like kind of clicked there. And even back then, I didn't know how these businesses survived. Like I had a job that was paying really well that actually paid for that business to start. I had no clue how you made money in this industry. Like I was like, it's just breaking even by the time we were doing it. And it slowly grew, and we had 2 employees back then, up to 3 at one time.
Okay.
It worked, the great dudes, the end result was the same as what I did by myself after we moved here. But we really stressed the quality back then too. And now with these cars like this, like the quality is so scary on how fast, like 1,000 horsepower back then when it started was like, you had to have a really built car. You could buy this ZL1, almost all stock engine, heads, cam, blower, and some fuel, and they make 1,000 horsepower. Like it's crazy how much that had changed. So
if you can't just slide it in, get it to fit right, or it bends a little bit funny, it's time to get some proper mandrel bends. Whether you are a weekend warrior or a shop owner, Hayes Performance has what you need to get your charge piping or exhaust dialed. From flex couplers to T-bolt clamps, if you want to lay down some pipe, go to HayesPerf.com and use Minnoxide 5 to get 5% off any Hayes Performance products. That's HAZEPERF.com. Let's get back to the show.
We started just slowly taking on customers with what we could take. We had a 2,200 square foot shop back then. And then we took it from 2,200 to 4,400, but it was in 2, like across the street from each other.
Okay.
And these poor people that were doing like woodworking next door, and the dyno was backed. Imagine a dyno room backed into a room with no ventilation, like 2,200 square foot dyno backed in. Like, I've lost so many years off my life from that. Then we finally moved the dyno to another building, and then we opened the walls between it. At one time, then we had 3 little shops that were like mended together. Always been big into the racing, and out there, racing was just dying in California. Like Irwindale actually just got crushed like today.
Oh, yeah, I thought I saw something.
Yeah, so that's gone. But that was like, she couldn't have a job on a Thursday unless she was off Thursdays. Yeah. And I could not I had to get off at like 3 o'clock to try to make it to the track by like 5. So we just slowly
serious,
started.
guys. It was serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and real quick, I do want to give a shout out to the Go Hard podcast because you guys really went into depth. Like, we were there every Thursday.
Legit.
Like for what, 19 years or something like that?
Yeah.
Probably from high school on, like
2004 to 2018.
we raced quarter mile. So like quarter mile was huge, and then I learned what 8th mile was, and then there was nonstop there. Like we were there every Thursday. We took our engagement pictures there. If we went there today, well, it's not there today, but if I would, while it was still there and I went there, everybody would still know us there. We were just that was our home track.
Yep.
And then we moved here, and I can't get away from racing. like every freaking weekend. Like it will burn you out and you will break your shit.
3 to 4
Like,
days a week.
3 to 4 days a week, you're at different tracks, and you
So
can
we
go
can't even keep up. Like everyone in here in Texas is so spoiled with how much
Yeah.
racing that they have. So that's a whole nother deal. But
So touch on that real quick. So, okay, so Irwindale is gone now.
Yeah.
So what's left over there? Is there
California
anything?
Speedway's gone too.
Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Bakersfield?
Bakersfield.
that's pretty much it?
That's they got Chuckwalla, so that's like a
And
no
you
prep.
got to go to Vegas if you want to do the strip, that 4
Really?
annual. So that really you're close. Is Sacramento even still open? Maybe for
I think so, but they do minimal.
yeah,
So
it's
you're
not-
talking about what, doing a 4 or 5 hour drive if you want to
Yeah.
drag
Yeah.
race now?
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
they're not going to be happy
Uh-oh.
till they chase that entire industry out of
Yeah.
that state anyway. It doesn't
Yeah,
really matter. It's
so
at this
bad.
point, I don't know why people even think they can try. Let's just pretend that state doesn't exist, and we'll just.
a lot of the cars
I
on
think
the other
people are
side.
traveling to Arizona to race.
People
Yeah.
leave
From
them.
California.
People leave their cars here. Like I have a buddy's C6 over there. Like he has no intention of bringing it back to California because there's nothing to do with it here. So that car will probably sell here, but they fly out here to race. And a lot of the California guys come out here to do all the small tire racing out here, Jake's race, and all the radio roundup stuff like that. Everybody travels here now. Most of them have homes here now, and all their trailers and cars stay here unless they're going home.
Wow.
So that
That's how dedicated it is, right?
I would say over half the racers are over here most of the time. And then they bring them home, they maintenance them while it's cold here, and they come right
Yeah.
back for the springtime and race.
So do you still have friends back in California, I assume?
Yeah. a bunch
Do you
of
think
them.
there's been like an uptick in any like street racing? Or would you not be able to?
It's almost from when we were street racing. Like I think that was prime Compton Christmas. Like everybody out, Bridge, all those. Now I think I don't see it as much online. You know, social
Anna.
media. Yeah, Anna's where they race, but they you would think social media. Everybody ruins racing with social media, right? Like
Yes.
Anywhere you go, it's not as big as it was when we left there. Like early ages of us growing up in street racing. So I don't know if it's uptick. I think there's all the cars are out here maybe. But
We
some
haven't
people are-
followed a lot
Yeah,
of
I don't
it.
follow it, so it's kind of hard
Yeah,
to
yeah.
answer.
We haven't
that, but-
followed it as much as
but
we
there was
probably
more
should.
street racing back then. I don't know, it would have been like 2010 maybe. After high school, that was when
That was a good time.
That was a good time.
That was
like
a good time.
Christmas came, it was Christmas morning in Compton, parking lots filled with cars, and that was pretty cool.
I mean, we focus on the street racing here in Texas, and that's alive and well.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
Everything's better in Texas.
yeah,
So-
that's alive
Bro,
and
it
well.
was single digit one night they were out racing here. So
Really?
there was like 9.
Oh my
it was
god!
nice.
Yes.
We were out there.
Heated everything. Everybody's jackets were just glowing with like, battery packs and everything. So
How are you even getting traction at that?
I had to turn it down.
You're on
like,
you're
yeah.
on chip seal, like asphalt, like
Yeah.
you're just
I don't even know
you
what the
do it,
draggies
dude.
were on that
It's
street.
still dry, right? So
Yeah.
it wasn't the dew point wasn't high, so it's dry. It's just cold.
Yeah, but the tire compound too, like
Yeah.
that gets. To
Yeah,
be-
huge burnouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of explain this to me, right? Because like I'm a novice in this scene in many regards. So what's the appeal to eighth mile over quarter mile, right? Like this is like where I'm completely overstepping my bounds here. I have no idea on that whole scene.
I'll tell you my thought on it. You could race your car for a lot longer, you know, depending on your caliber of vehicle, right? So like something like this, you know, let's say a 2,500 horsepower car. You're not going to race this. Well, I don't race this with Grudge racing quarter mile. Quarter mile Grudge scene isn't really alive,
Yeah, it's not here.
right? 8th mile Grudge racing, whole nother level. When it comes to like the late model stuff, quarter mile is bigger. That's what we do, right, for our customers.
I think power takes over. So I think 8th mile is like driver's race. Like there is not enough real estate to close the gap. Quarter mile horsepower is going to take over.
Just
to
running
certain-
out the back.
Yeah, you could lay it in really hard out back and maybe beat somebody. But 8th mile, number one, there's more 8th mile tracks here. We got Texas Motorplex is our most local quarter mile event. They're not as open as long as like Yellow Belly is, XRP, which is all 8th mile. But I think the Grudge scene, small tire radial racing is real big in the 8th mile stuff here. It's just a driver's game. Like it comes down to reaction time, and if you can't get the car to 60 foot, there's not enough real estate to get it done. Like you could be pretty quick, and if that guy outreacts you, you're not going to get to him by the end of there. So
So it's a different crowd of people.
Yeah.
So you've got 8th mile Grudge racers, radial racers, pro mods, you know, and then you've got NHRA, which is 1,000 feet now. Then you got the late model stuff. Those are really the two that focus on the quarter mile.
Yeah, you don't radial racing unless what we do small tire stuff. There's no quarter mile stuff.
Well, the cars have gotten more powerful now too, right? So that's one of the reasons that's when I think they first started really dialing it back to 8th mile stuff.
Yeah, it's just not a big scene. Maybe it's a Texas thing where it's more 8th mile. California, I grew up in quarter mile. Like we
did.
street raced quarter mile. Like that was
we
like
did.
a thing.
We
Like
street race quarter mile. Now they only do 8th.
yeah.
Well, that was what were the cars then? 10, 9 seconds.
Oh,
Yeah.
Back
Yeah,
then, if you had a
right. So
9
now
second
we're
car,
talking 6, 7. Like that's a whole nother ball game.
Easy to throw turbos on something and have a 7-second car. You know.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot. So yeah, cars have gotten faster.
Two totally different breeds.
Yeah, different people in those two. Like your quarter mile racers or your time slip racers usually. Like no one's real happy to post an 8th mile slip, right? Compared to like the quarter mile guy who wants to show that 7, 6, whatever it may
Right.
be.
Well, it was a standard for so long, right?
Yeah.
Like quarter
Yep.
mile, like that was like this is a quarter mile, Fast and Furious. So I need a 10-second
Yes,
car.
yes.
Like
State
they
for
set the
state
standard.
for state for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, OEMs too, right? That's one of the things that like the
Yeah.
new ZR1. It's like, all right, here's our top speed, here's our quarter mile, here's our 0 to 60. Those are the three. That's all marketing.
Yeah, it's
right?
marketing.
And I think that Fast and the Furious scene is what started most of us in it. Like
Yeah.
I was getting into cars when that movie came out, and that was the quarter mile number, you know. Like so, yeah, it's just changed. It's evolved, I think.
But like the
Well,
one
you
that's
guys didn't
sticking
sell all
to
your
it.
Mustangs and go buy tuner cars then.
Yeah. No, hey, we almost bought SRT4s. We're
What
at
is
the
it?
dealership buying 2 SRT4s, and I think they treated us like shit. Like
Yeah.
they
They
disrespected us and like didn't think we were going to be able to afford. Back then it was like
Yeah, well now who
$30,000
owns that market?
Yeah.
Bunch of kids. and-
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen one of those things in forever.
Like, those things are still pretty cool though. Like SRT4s, we had one that was on a road rally with us that was making like what 450 or 500 wheel, which like that is a tin
Will
can.
break everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely have those issues too. So touch on these cars a little bit, right? Because like when we came in here, you started pointing out MoTec. You know, you don't see Camaros on MoTec often, do you?
I do. So
Well, yeah. All right.
Stupid question, Harris.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to Minnesota. It's fine.
I mean, the MoTec thing, the first time I probably ever heard MoTec was Fast and Furious.
Hold on, I
right?
turned
Like,
off your mic here. It's, okay, we're good. No, okay.
but there, you know, like a MoTec exhaust or whatever, like it's always been like cream of the crop, right? So like, Holly was real big. Like there's all these other ECUs, and nothing is as capable as a MoTec. But we started getting into it when the port injection started coming into the Camaros. Basically, we run out of fuel, right, on a direct injected car, so we either got to get it from methanol or another set of injectors. So at the time we were getting into the port injection stuff, methanol was the first thing we did instead of port injection. You're literally spraying methanol out of like I call it an RV pump, but like the same pump that is in your RV as a water pump, you're trusting your whole car on that and melting the damn thing down.
Savage.
Yeah, and we linked up with somebody that we met back in California that started teaching us MoTec back then, and we just we learned a lot about it, and we started pushing it into
Well, we
these cars.
implemented it on a vehicle, and he's a racer, so no prep. He went from prep to no prep.
Yeah.
So he was able to actually R&D and.
That was the first MoTec we put. It was Dan's 6th gen. That car had an 8-speed in it. We switched it to Turbo 400 and added port injection and put the MoTec in that car. That was the first one we did. It was like 2020, 2021 we did it. And port injection be controlled by all different computers, right? But the MoTec in particular, the way we do it, it takes over the ignition. So if I could take the ignition and the fueling, I could implement traction control, launch control, different strategies into it. So we learned a lot about it then, and we want to provide like the best products possible that we have done a bunch of research on and used a bunch. So we started putting those in all these cars, and in here right now there's 9 or 10 of them that are on MoTec at different stages of, you know, how big the system is. Like the one back there just behind you guys has an M182 in it. The red one up there has an M182 in it. That's a full standalone, completely removes the factory computer. Plug in an M182, you hit the key, everything starts like factory, dashes factory, pulls all the data from the can, so it could pull wheel speed sensors, it could pull G meter, it could pull steering position. If someone's like, oh, the car pulled left, I'm like, no, your steering wheel's pointing left. Like, you can see every tattletales on everything. So we just really stand behind that product on how well it works with these cars, and it plays really nice. Like you could get in a car that has MoTec and you would never even know it's got it. Daily drive it. You can implement a bunch of safeties, and some of the other computer systems we worked with, you couldn't set a safety for like low fuel pressure to alert the driver or to drop the RPM or pull the throttle back. MoTec will do any of the safeties that I want to do it.
The drive modes.
Yeah, and then you could switch between, you know, on a Camaro you go track, sport, tour, like just little knob in the middle of the car. You could change boost settings with that on the fly. You could change traction control strategies on the fly. So as a driver, you know, they could see the car spin in front of them and click it down. All right, let's kill the boost a little bit for the first 60 feet.
Ice tank introduction.
Yeah, you could control the ice tanks on it. I just did a video on that where you got an ice tank in a car and you're pulling up to the pits just idling for 20 minutes. It doesn't run the ice tank until you put it into a race mode.
Just makes it easy, right?
It's just a really good product, and it just does everything. It's a pricey product compared to the other stuff, but at each price point, there's a reason why you would go with each computer, right?
Yeah. Do you want to kind of touch on that as well? Because I know that there's various tiers to MoTec.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like I think AJ's Calvo has like an M130 or something like that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
can you kind of differentiate what happens every time you spend more on a MoTec?
So the M130 is probably our most standard package we put on. It's the entry level ECU. It still takes over ignition. It still takes over the port fueling. It still gets all the CAN capability, wide bands, all that stuff. Very good ECU. Like that ECU, we've been on our Camaros. Dan's car and this yellow car have gone like 830s. No control over the direct injection though. So it's only controlling the port and the ignition. And then you switch to an M182, and that's the full standalone. So that's the two tiers we use the most. There's
some more in between probably.
M150 we use in other applications.
Yeah, M150 has more inputs and outputs. I've put them in Camaros before too. Like at one point, this yellow one had an M150. If I want more inputs and output, it's like a middle tier to get more stuff in there. And then M182 is basically cream of the crop for what we're doing on these. And then from there, you might even need to expand it with a PDM to get more inputs, depending on how crazy
That's what
you
we're
want to
doing
get.
on this turbo one.
That one's going to need twin
white
dump.
one?
Yeah, that one's going to be like twin dump valves, air shifter, trans coolers, ice tanks. So you run out of inputs and outputs because the M182 allocates all those pins. So you even have to expand it past an M182.
Okay.
So to simplify it, like with the M130 on these GM applications, we're adding port injection and also timing control, spark control. The M182 also controls the direct injection. So we're able to control more fueling with it too.
Okay.
So that kind of breaks it down. Like if you have, let's say you're doing a lot of no prep stuff, the M130 probably won't be your best bet. M182 is going to be more sufficient.
You could do it like the M1.
We've done it.
Yeah, like Dan's car, we no prep
Yeah.
that car all the time, and the M130 is capable of it. M182 is more capable of dropping cylinders, where the M130 you're not going to want to drop full cylinders like a full standalone. And having the control of the ignition is just building timing ramps and boost ramps and all that stuff. The software is really similar between the two on what you can do. It's just how much stuff you want to control.
It's customizable. So that's what's different from other ECUs that are out there. We're able to customize it however we want.
Like Fuel Tech is like trans brake, do it. Like it's very like straight to the point. MoTec may be an auxiliary output that's triggered by this, that these thresholds to see. So MoTec is a lot more complex in building what you want the car to do. But once you get it all figured out on what you're doing, it's very, very user friendly once it's all set up for the first time. And then the loggers are all built in. So these guys, any of these guys could go out and race. We always upgrade our loggers to the advanced loggers, go do whatever they want for the night, pull over and just pull the log and send it to me, or, you know, when they get home, if it's not too far, it's always logging. Send it to me. I can make changes. It's super easy to do all that too. The logging features are really good.
Do you think that you don't see it in the GM world as much because your typical person who's building a Camaro, and not to downplay it or to say that it's cheap to build
Well, let's
one
talk
of
about
these
Mustang
cars,
guys too.
Yeah,
Same category.
Well,
Yeah,
there's not a
I
lot of
was
MoTec stuff in the Mustang world either, though. Like,
But we
it's
can
not,
do it with Mustangs too.
right,
Mustangs
but it's
have-
not your Calvo and Nth Moto Viper builds, right? We're not talking. I mean, you can get into six figures,
What
I'm
do you
sure,
think
but
the
it's
price
not.
is for an M130 with the harness and sensors and wide bands and everything? What do you
It's got to
think
be
it
like
is?
15, 20.
I was gonna say 10.
It's
See, that-
$600.
That's the problem
Okay.
right there. So
Yeah.
everybody says it like,
It's expensive.
oh man.
No, it's not. It's,
Yeah.
it's actually not that bad.
So there's other systems in variation of cost.
It's double
right?
what like a Haltech or something would be, though, right?
And then you're stacking more stuff on it. So like that car in there is on Haltech, and it's not as capable as a MoTec, but I haven't spent as much R&D time into the Haltech as the MoTec to understand what it would do. That's more of a primitive system compared to what the MoTec is. But yeah, it's the thought process, and I hear it all the time. People are like, oh, I don't want to put a MoTec on my car. It's not a race car. I'm like, even more of a reason to put it on your car, because you're not treating it like a race car. You're out stoplight to stoplight.
Want it to be nice.
Dude, and I can speak to this because I've been in, I've ridden like in Nth Moto Vipers, right? They used to be 5 minutes from my house, right?
Yeah.
So like, you would not be able to tell that car is different from stock, except for the fact that, it's louder and, it chops like them. Okay,
It's super sexy.
For some obvious reasons, right? But the way it drives, like for example, my buddy, he literally drove his 2,000 horsepower Viper from Minnesota to Oklahoma and beat on it for a week or whatever and drove it back.
Yep.
Now, we're talking about a 3,000 mile road trip in a 2,000 horsepower car.
Yeah.
And it's on MoTec, right? And anyways, to your point,
It's-
What's the
Yeah.
M182 cost?
13.
13.
Okay.
Oh, well,
And that comes with advanced logging.
It's a complete plug-in. It's a full standalone plug into the car, delete the
It's
whole
still less
factory
than what you
computer.
said, though.
oh yeah.
I
Don't
was
look at
thinking
me for
20 on
pricing.
that one. Yeah.
Now you could get it. Now if you start adding shock sensors and going crazy, and like anything's going to get expensive. But the blue cars, all Fuel Tech, that's $13,000 into Fuel Tech stuff alone. Just we're talking coils and like stuff we're not going to have to put on a GM.
We're trying to get MoTec onto this.
But I could switch that over.
Can you still run all the stock gauges and all that shit?
All
then, too?
factory.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think a lot of this stuff, maybe it come back when I started tuning stuff out. The first computer I ever tuned outside of a factory computer was a Pro EFI. At the time, not a lot of cars had Pro EFI, and it was very difficult to learn and stressful for people. So I learned with that on her car and my car. So that was kind of my venture into aftermarket ECU. Like, fuck, GM, you got to like trick it into doing what you want. Pro EFI, you tell it to do it and it's going to do it. MoTec, same thing, like you're getting the control you want. So I kind of learned, Pro EFI had all the CAN integration and stuff too, but Pro EFI was not as customizable as a MoTec is. So MoTec, if you could dream it up, it could be written into the firmware for us to do it. You could come up with the wildest shit. It could run a generator. It could run hybrid stuff. I'm sure it's got whatever they want to do with it. You could program a MoTec to do it. So it came to we wanted a computer that could do that.
And it's user friendly because everything goes into the cloud, so they don't have to pull out a laptop. They don't got to figure out what.
When it goes in the cloud,
to
it goes
press.
into. They have to pull it from the ECU, but it's very simple. They just retrieve the log and convert it. And
I'm
send
pretty
it.
sure toasters are connected to the cloud now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like,
Yes,
I know our oven back home
I'm
is,
like,
but
they are.
Yeah, it's super easy for like. If I had an HP Tuner car, I'm like, all right, well, hook it up, give me a log. HP Tuner's got really good with like cell phone data logging and stuff, but MoTec, I'm like, go make a pull.
It's easier in MoTec.
Bam, they jump on the laptop, send it over. It's super simple. So
that is
Do
the
you
coolest thing.
still tune stock ECOs too?
yeah,
ECUs too?
all day
Yeah,
long.
Okay.
I need you to put down a drink, buddy.
Yeah.
Most of our work is stock ECU, because up to like 650, 700, 800, like those combos, heads, cam.
You would like every
E85.
car to be MoTec.
If I could put MoTec
Yeah.
on every car, I would. Like it's that good, and you're getting a lot of value. So there is some lesser cost items, and then you have to stack on extra units to make it do it. Where a MoTec is one-time cost, and I always tell people like the cost of what your engine's worth and your investment in your car, or I don't care if you make 1,200 horsepower, it means nothing to me if you can't put it to the floor. The MoTec will put it to the floor.
If you're a young enthusiast learning to wrench or an experienced shop owner already running sevens at the drag strip, the High Performance Academy is a resource where all horsepower junkies can go to expand their skill set. Whether you are learning how to build an engine, tune your ECU, or dial in your suspension setup for some weekend autocross, the HP Academy has the perfect step-by-step course for you. They've provided the listeners of the show with a special 55% off discount code that you can use risk-free on any course that you're choosing. Use code MINNOX, MINNOX, to get 55% off, or click the link in the show description to choose a course of your liking. Go check it out. Let's get back to the show.
Just the drivability itself, like what it can add to you as a driver, I feel like is probably worth it in the end.
The Hennessy car, we're switching it over to a MoTec, we're switching it to a 2650, and the guy just wants to be able to enjoy the car. And I'm like, I don't know how you've enjoyed a car that makes whatever power it does on a street tire. Like where we're switching it over to something with traction control, with boost control, and it could be used instead of just blow tire off everywhere you go. That's fun too. But it's nice when you put the power down and you can race somebody and use it.
When I first learned about it was when Harris was like, oh, I just rode in this 2,000 horsepower Viper. And I'm like,
How?
okay, who gives a shit? 2,000 horsepower. You can't even use
How?
that.
Yeah.
You're just going to go every single time.
then,
Like there's
no,
nothing.
it
You can't even barely
works.
touch the throttle.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, actually.
Yeah, it works.
There's
Yeah.
something to be said when you can. This is gonna set off some people when you, because I'm gonna use draggy numbers. When you do a 3-second 60 to 130, in a car on a street, it's like you can't even fathom that as somebody who's used to a 300 horsepower GTI. Like,
Yeah. Oh.
like it's kind of like
She did it like,
Oh.
I'm just getting
I mean, I
abused.
love
that's the best
GTIs,
reaction
but
to your car I've ever heard in my
I would
life.
rather have an R32, but
Oh, I love the R32s
Yeah.
too, and I'm not a Volkswagen guy.
The black one, this one's Turbo 400 MoTec too, but he races a Yellow Belly. So Yellow Belly is like a super sketch surface. And
Okay.
So we race that car. That car will go right down Yellow Belly because it can control everything going
Well,
down
we
the
learned a
track.
lot about no prep from
Your
so
car, yeah.
we have customers, right? And they want us to come to the track with them, but they did a lot of radial stuff. So for us to have fun, we can't
switch
go
it.
there
Yeah.
with them, right? I can't race when they're racing. So I was like,
Right.
I'll do no prep. Well, they're doing prep, so he's able to learn and integrate. Now people will follow your passion, right? If you love something, someone's going to follow you, right? They're going to feel that. They're going to want to do it too. So we got a lot of customers that do no prep now. Thank you, but
It's like, just let me be happy.
yeah.
It's hard. Like this car is damn near impossible to take out with other people, right? It's just so demanding on it. So we tried our personal racing. We've always tried to separate it. So we're here, and my time isn't getting devoted away from my customers because
That's not fair to them either. I mean, it's not fair to you either because you want to have a good time. And
Yeah, it's
that's-
not fair to anybody.
yeah.
Like we have your space, and
a lot of them said, like, we met you guys, or you guys are always at the track, because we're out racing an event or something. So even this one's a little out of the caliber of what our normal racing is. So if this car's out, it's usually at like a dedicated radial race or something. But the no prep stuff.
But yeah, so
is-
that's how we're able to integrate a lot of, with the MoTec, with the no prep, or if someone's just ripping on a 2,000 horsepower car down the
I
street.
can't see like no reason not to put a MoTec on a car. There's nothing that you're losing drivability.
Yeah, we get
control.
that it's not a race car. What else?
No, it's a big that it's associated with high cost in race car. Yes, it
Yes.
is the most expensive port injection system as a whole you could put on a car, but it's
But not
half the
but
price
it's
of what
not
people think.
obnoxious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the lack of a better word, the Cadillac of
Yeah,
standalones,
Cadillac.
right? Yeah.
it is. It's
Yeah.
bougie.
Notice how you didn't say Lincoln, by the way.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm a Ford guy, and you still that's just the
Cadillac.
term, right? It's the Cadillac of.
There's like a Family Guy meme where it was all the ECUs, and then the pinky up was the MoTec.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They take pride in their stuff though. It is by far the most the highest quality product I've worked with, installed, tuned, all that stuff.
So this will be a two-part question at some point, but you kind of touched on it earlier, like what got you into that. Explain what that dive into MoTec was like. Like, how difficult was it to learn? How are you learning? Were you on just
Still
like Facebook
learning.
forums? Or?
You still learn no matter what, but
He's not on forums.
Yeah, I don't use forums. No Facebook.
He doesn't
no
even have
forums.
Facebook.
It needed support. Like, you don't jump into this stuff and not have a helping hand. So I had a buddy I'd met in California who developed a lot of the firmware and taught us everything.
Okay.
So at first it'd be like scared, like, oh, I don't want to hit that button. What's it going to do? And MoTec is jacked up. Like, if you don't have one enable switch set, the whole traction control system's not going to work. So at first it was a bunch of phone calls, a bunch of trial and error. Had I had that car set up sooner, I would have put that car on a MoTec at least to force my brain to learn it. But Dan's car was the first one we had set up on it, so it was just
But we
going to
put
the
fuel
track.
tech on this one to learn fuel tech. So
Yeah.
we're trying to we try to verse ourselves not in just, let's say, a stock ECU. He wants to know everything. Like we have not done other ECUs because we don't like their quality of product, but the products that we have chosen, we want to be well versed in them.
Yeah, it was intimidating, and you're really relying on someone to help you. But
It takes
now,
time, and you have to implement it. you just can't sit at your computer. Like you have to go out and do it.
Yeah, and there's some nights like I'll go sit down after a day of work and just stare at a log from like a month ago and just go over and be like, all right, cool. Well, that strategy didn't work. I need to do this, or this didn't work. And
Well, touch on the strategy thing a little bit then.
different, it has all different stuff, but like
We
you
get
want
really deep with
That's
this.
all day.
yeah, like you could take like any horsepower level, right? Anybody who's going fast are using some sort of power management one way or another. Are you taking timing away? Are you taking boost away? Are you adding fuel, taking away fuel? Are you pulling throttle back? How are you getting the car down the track? Well, what works on this car may not work on this one because of the suspension or something. So you're constantly working at a tune-up. There's none of these cars that are just one and done. Like the silver one, we did pull another system off the car, switch it to a MoTec. The car hadn't gone down the track in a year successfully. We switched it to a MoTec. He ended up in like the semifinals, like 15 rounds in multiple classes. That shouldn't have happened like that. But that came from years of beating myself up and things not going successful. The first MoTec car, we took Texas 2K, got it all done. You had to have a qualifying pass of whatever the number was. So I took the car out, made the qualifying pass because he was out of town. We went to Texas 2K, went to the burnout box, car didn't do a burnout. Like stupid shit like that. And then we went back, all right, let's fix this. And all right, let's fix this. And just year after year of trying different things. And then now you know this works and you're going to implement it into a car with similar power and stuff like that. But none of the tunes are the same across all these MoTec cars because everybody's got a different use of it. Like this is a manual transmission M130 car. That one's an automatic 8-speed M130 car. Like total different strategies on how we control that car. Like that one.
And that one is the manual is so much fun.
That one makes like 1100 wheel.
Because he's got different boost modes because it was on street tires on 18s, right? So he had different boost modes for me and he was having me drive it. And I literally just put it to the highest horsepower mode, but with the traction control, it's nice when something can still just pull and go straight where you're like holding it with your two fingers, but it's still just chugging. You know what I mean?
The black
Like,
car
that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
we go to Yellow Belly and like you'll see if you have a X amount of boost level, right, and your timing is going super negative or it's going to the limit of the traction control, well, you'd rather trim that boost down and get the timing back up to where it should be. So it just depends on what the surface is and what strategy you're going to use. Now you have launch control, which is a predictive launch ramp I'm going to set, controlled by drive shaft speed, any number of things, RPM. And then the next thing that's going to take over is going to hand it to the traction control. Now that is active, so it's watching for a problem to happen. So if I could catch it in launch control and the traction controls just to stop the car from losing a race, right? Like you don't want it to ride the traction control all the way down the track. You want to hand it off from launch control to traction control with everything, just keeping everything in line and not letting
Keep it happy.
Yeah, keep it happy.
Okay.
Because it's the best way. Launch control is I am setting a predetermined, whether it be boost ramp, RPM ramp, timing, however I want to do it. Traction control is already too late. You're losing ET. If it's hitting the traction control, the only thing that's stopping you from doing is losing the race or spinning the tires. It'll keep you going down the track, but you're losing ET.
So many strategies.
Well, no, I was about to ask the question too. Is like, because like when somebody goes to school to learn how to work on a car, you go through a process of learning how to diagnose a car. Like, what's the problem?
Yep.
And that's what my next question was going to be.
You start with righty tighty, lefty loosey.
Yeah, pretty much. I started with UTI, in which it was a bunch of kids whose parents made them go to school.
Yeah.
And they said, fuck it, I like cars. So we started there. So the entire time through that program, to me at the time, it was easy just because I was working at Sears at the time, and
Were you selling some washing machines, or what's up?
No, he was a mechanic, the automotive.
I do remember Sears, but
Are you sure? I was about to pull like you probably. Well, they used to have auto service centers.
Yes. So I worked there just to piss on tire. I started with that, oil changes, all that stuff. So I kind of exposed myself to that. But then when I went to BMW, like I had to go to. I think that's where a lot of like having a clean shop comes from, right? I went to what's called STEP, which is the like BMW's
this
education.
is psychotically clean, by the way.
So we used to have to be clean.
There's a fucking mopping machine. Like
Zamboni, baby.
That puts in more work than anybody here. It's got like
Zamboni.
that thing got like 25 hours on it. It's got some work. I wish I remember what the acronym was, but we had a German teacher. Like you had to be clean cut, clean shaven every morning on time. So a lot of that came from that, but they used to bug cars. So I learned the diagnosis through that. And I think Justin had learned the same thing. He went with GM, and
That's right.
We kind of learned the same thing. You know, you learn diagnosis from there and kind of worked your way into this
Which
stuff.
is not a fun task for anybody, but
So then, did you take that approach when it came to like, you know, again, diagnosing like how to make a car run better, I guess? Or was that something that you were taught from like your mentor, or a combination of both?
me
Yeah.
telling him I am his biggest critic.
Well, where it really started is when she had a faster car than me, and then I had to build a faster car than her, and it went
It's
back
me.
and forth. So that pushed you to learn things about
I will
cars,
tell him
right?
every fuck up he makes.
Yeah, or she used to
And
drive
like, you
every
need to
car.
fix
Like she's like,
this.
no, that's not right. Like she'll go drive all the cars and make sure everything meets that.
Because
so.
we drive completely different, which the customer drives completely different.
Yeah.
So
I saw you on Netflix with, you know, launch. You're driving a manual, which is already harder, right? There's no MoTec. There was no MoTec in that car at that time, right?
Nope.
Are you just as good at stick too?
Hell no.
No.
No. She
Well, in the
went
show,
faster.
you were just like, mush it. Like, that's basically what you said.
Well, the first stick car she bought, we had to call my little brother
It was a
for
Mazda Speed 3.
him to drive her car home. She bought a stick car,
I
never
did.
drove stick. in her
So I was
life.
like, I'm buying this car. I don't know how to drive a stick, but I'm going to fucking learn. And so I had his brother drive home because we had to go up hills, right? So I was like, I'm not driving to burn up the clutch first day. And then I learned how to drive in a Mazda Speed 3, which is not the easiest stick to learn in. And then every car after that, all the BMWs, which is the easiest car
they're so easy.
to learn
Yeah.
stick in.
Any
goes out,
grudge
but-
race we have,
But
though,
I would pick, even to this day, I would pick a manual car over an auto.
Yeah.
To this day, still. I don't care if I'm drag racing it or not. I will still pick a stick.
It is more fun.
I will still pick a stick.
That's why you got DCT, right, Dan?
Well, again, I spent how I learned how to drive a stick. My dad gave me like a rough, like we went out a little bit. We had a 90
God.
Beretta Indianapolis 500 pace car, teal. And it was great. It was cool. I really loved that car. But anyway, my dad one day, he had we were a GM family at one point in time. He had like a 90s Cutlass Supreme, right? 3100 or whatever. It had to go to the shop for something. And he was like, I need you to come get me. I was like, the only
Oh,
car here is the
hell.
Beretta. And he's like,
Figure it out.
And I'm like, it's a stick. And he's like, so fucking what? And he hangs up the phone.
Damn.
And I'm like, I guess I better go get him. So yeah.
I can top you on that one. I was
Yeah.
like 13. My dad had an 86 Corvette. And we lived on the mountains, right?
Yeah.
He just parked this Corvette on the mountain, like this. And was like,
no hill assist.
yeah, no,
Like,
Yeah,
all the
right.
new
no
cars
hill
have it.
assist, right? He was like, go. And I'm like, Yeah, I failed immensely, started to cry, didn't drive stick till I bought that Mazda Speed 3.
Bro, if we set up a grudge race anywhere though, right? The first question people ask, who's driving? Always. It's the same shit. And they'll take the bet if I'm driving.
Yeah.
If she's driving, they're like, I'm going to think twice about this one.
That's awesome.
That's legit.
Yeah.
I have daughters, and my 14-year-old is very much into all of this. She's actually going to be racing snowmobiles next weekend.
Oh, cool.
She's
Yeah.
14. I just bought an 88 turbo coupe, 2.3 turbo, 5-speed. That's what she's going to
Nice.
learn how to drive stick
She
on.
will
so.
get hooked from that. Like,
Yes.
she won't turn back.
Oh, she's already hooked. She
Yeah.
goes to Texas 2K. If
Yeah,
you
she went
guys
to
are
Cash
there,
Days with us last
Oh.
year.
you'll meet her in a month when we're back here.
We'll be there all week.
She's awesome.
You guys said you're going to Texas 2K?
We'll be
Yep.
there all week.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're going
awesome.
with this car, and then
Come by. We might have a stripper pole. Who knows?
Which
Yeah.
car?
the yellow one is going.
Sounds good to me.
And then right now our buddies not finishing. We're like just starting a twin turbo kit, and we're planning on making that with Tex 2K with an M182 in it. All new turbo 400, like a whole new car. We're gonna
You
go.
know how it
we're gonna go
goes.
learn it at Tex 2K.
Yeah.
The world
We
stage
got,
of.
we got a few
late
days.
It's the
model
best
shit.
place to learn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We got 5 days of testing, so I'm hoping that at least I could get it on the trans
It's
brake
long.
before we.
There's people that
meet
go
it.
there with months of testing, and I still see
Yeah.
them tore apart in the pits.
Yep.
So it's like, it happens.
That'll be me at
Yeah.
3 a.m. trying to get shit figured out. Like we'll make
be in
it.
the back. We'll be the loud ones.
Yeah.
We
We're
watched,
so excited.
was a Trans Am driver completely tear apart a car and rebuild it while we were at
Dude.
Road America.
I
It's a
wish
whole
I got
nother level.
I wish I got photo or video of this thing because literally I think it was like midnight.
We
or
went to bed about 12:30 and it was in a lot of pieces.
All
we
there
woke
was
up in
was
the
a
morning
cage.
to the sun comes up and we hear we're like,
Nice.
fuck yeah.
Is that the Challenger that got
He
first
won.
place? Yeah, he
Yeah.
won that day.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Luckily, at Texas,
usually how it
16-year-old
goes.
driver, by the
Oh.
way.
Okay.
luckily at Texas 2K, enough GTRs break. We have plenty of fucking time in
Yeah.
between the race, so you don't even like. That is the biggest hurry up and wait. Like
Yeah.
if you took a shot every time a GTR broke
Ooh,
something, like
that
you'd
was
be-
our game last year.
Yeah, one of the years we did that. But
Playing
you
this
have
year.
plenty of time. They're
that was our
like
game.
in between for whole track oil downs. But
Yeah.
So real quick. So you said you're basically completely redoing this car.
This car's pretty much ready to go. We're gonna play with some tire sizes.
This one's ready to go.
The
There's
one
another
that's
one.
in the fab shop right now barely has exhaust manifolds on it.
Okay.
That's getting twin turbo kit on it.
At least
So it's
the
gonna get a twin
intercooler's
turbo
done.
kit. You said a TH400 as well.
It's got it in there already. I just
Okay.
got to switch it to a different gear set.
And
a
M182.
Okay.
And I got to
And then
switch
an
it from an M130 to an
Oh my
M182.
God, I forgot about the trans.
Yeah, that one's coming too. Yeah, we're changing it to like a more custom gear ratio.
I'm like, wait.
Yeah, it's literally less than a month to be out there for that. So yeah.
Well, in the fashion of jumping around, kind of like what we're doing here, can we talk a little bit about the TH400s and stuff like that? Then
well, before we jump into that, because we are going to stay on this topic real quick with the. So if you wanted to do the whole the M182, I mean, this is strong. It's strong.
M182.
Somebody say coyote.
You got it.
No, because I've been wanting to ask this like for the last 10 minutes. So so let's say you get a car and you want to do a M182 right out the gate. How long does it take you to do it? What's the to-do list? What does it cost if you want to go full MoTec?
This is a perfect example of it because it was dropped off to us.
If he says Monday, I'm going to lose it.
No, like that car got done in a weekend. Like full
like
drop,
3 days.
literally
I'll
not
give it
even
3
3 days.
days.
But it just came down to the scheduling, right? He called me, we talked. He's like, we talked about all the different versions of MoTec. We ordered it. That took like 6 to 8 weeks to order it. It came in not even a whole week until we were at the track. I'm talking from tuned, dynoed at the track, and it went those 15 rounds into. He signed up for like 3 classes, and I was like, this is either going to go really good for us or really bad, and it just went really well. And what stopped us is it broke a belt. Like that was the last thing that.
No, an axle.
Oh no, sorry, we broke a 9-inch axle.
I was like, we've replaced the belt.
It's an
broke
independent
axle.
rear suspension, so it's not like a real 9-inch. It's got a 9-inch center section, but we broke an axle on it is the only reason we stopped. But that car turned in like 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
The harnesses are all on the Camaros.
I don't like cars in here for long. I don't like dust. I don't want to rewash them.
I don't like dust.
Out.
So it was quick. So like some of these cars are waiting on motors or blower ports. Like every one of these cars in here, the most extensive builds, the turbo one, that one was dropped off. Like he had spent like 3 years kind of picking at doing little things, and he was dropped off, said, finish this. So that's the biggest job to finish. But like I don't want to keep cars in here that long. But like a full MoTec setup, like no more than a week.
Really?
All right, so ports, Kong, or Jokers?
Yeah.
We work with Kong. We back from the day we started our business, we worked with Kong. We had one of the first 3100s on her ZR1 motor Mustang, so we had that. So my relationship.
He's awesome to work with.
We're real big on relationships, right? Like LME, we use everything engine. Like we've used them since the day we've opened.
I don't care what people claim. I don't like their fake claims.
Nope,
Records.
I'm a very loyal person like that too. Until you screw me, then we need to talk.
I don't care about that.
Yeah,
like
so
it's all bullshit.
Our
Really?
relationship is like text message based with Greg. You know, anything we have questions with stuff. We've R&D'd blower reports before. So our relationships, really anybody we've used is pretty much since day one we've used them. And Kong was, I had his shirt on the Netflix show. Like he was the one. He did that, and then like Monster had sponsored the clutch on that car, and like our
We're working with
relationships.
Steve with
stayed.
Monster. Like we do Monster on every stick car here.
So Kong.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
'cause my
Yeah.
It's a
business.
50-50 answer every time we ask it. So
Yeah,
it's
he's good. He's got a good program going.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Turbo
now I can go. Okay, so
I had to shut you down.
we
for
don't
a
really
second.
get into transmissions a lot, and I listened to a little bit of your the Go Hard one, and so like why the TH400? You know, I've got a car with a 6R80, I've got a TR6060, I've got a DCT.
Sounds expensive.
Yeah,
That's why money.
Yeah, really. I looked him up quick.
Straight up.
While I was listening, he was trying to sleep, and I was driving, and I literally Googled
Like shit, might I
like
add.
$2,500 like for a TH400 is
Yeah.
what I was seeing online.
Money is a good reason why we don't. It's just us two. I don't want.
Yeah.
Take the Corvette out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult to do a Turbo 400, and that's
expensive.
I've done power glides in them, very few race cars. So let's take it down to a Camaro, right?
Yep.
Very cost effective, and it's just consistency.
Yeah.
The transmission will go years, no changes to it.
4 years.
Yeah, that transmission's never been out of that car, and that's a stock first gear, stock case. I don't even know if it has an Ultra Bell on it. And that car the transmission has not been out since 2020.
And it goes out all the time.
It's just the gear ratio when paired right with the rear end is just super consistent.
Well, they usually dump into a 4.9-inch, right? So
Yeah.
So everybody has their home
Sometimes.
run that they hit with the OEs, right? Like,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that setup, like if you're gonna race the car competitively, consistency, you know, the trucks. That when I first started hearing about like the cost of 10 speeds, these dudes were grudge racing these trucks and like 10 passes having to redo the transmissions, or it'd miss a shift and they got 20 grand on the line.
They're inconsistent.
They're just inconsistent.
Right.
The 8-speed, yes, we could tune it. Yes, it will live. Yes, you could have fun with it, but it will not be as fast as a Turbo 400, as consistent as a Turbo 400 is. Yes, is there somebody who's done a glory pass and holds the record, micro record, or whatever it may be for an 8-speed, 10-speed, 6-speed, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Cool. You did it. Awesome. Props. I'm still going to have the same transmission in my car. You know, we haven't had problems with it. You could refresh it with clutches and stuff for under $1,000 if you have to go through it after a whole couple years of racing. So
that's
consistent, you ain't going to hurt it. Like, you just keep having fun with it. You get a trans brake. I think it's a way more competitive transmission across
People work with what they know, right? So like stock ECUs, they're going to work with stock transmissions because that's what they know. To venture out into transmission swaps to, you know, standalone ECUs, that's branching out.
Yeah.
You know, it's out of the box. And
you got to find the right customer too. Like you're not going to, can you drive a Turbo 400 on the street, on the freeway at 60 miles? Yes. Can you daily it? Would I drive it every single day? Probably not. Could you? Yeah.
Yeah, of
like
course.
Cayman
People do it
stock
all the
cars.
time.
Yeah.
I drove one. I did like the other
I
weekend.
grew up
was
with a 69 Camaro. Like, yes.
Yeah, it could be driven. It's just people think they're chopping up their car, and if you look in that car or his car, they look stock. Like the M&M shifters in there, they look very nice.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna grudge race and race competitively, I think that transmission's superior, and that's why a lot of the classes today, to race in a late model class, you got to fill out a mortgage application to fit into the class, right? There's like 9 steps, and all of them are kicking out the Turbo 400s. And there was rumors that Texas 2K was kicking out Turbo 400s, like
Streetcar Takeover.
Streetcar Takeover took out Turbo 400. So it's like they're trying to level the playing field, but obviously there's a known superiority to a Turbo 400 if every one of these promoters is knocking out the
weird when you
race.
start doing regulations like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Becca was talking about that, like with
Or put it in its own class, I guess, if you really want to do it. Don't get
most,
rid of it.
most, not all, most are not even leaving in the first gear of the trans ratio. So right, you take an 8-speed, if they're leaving second, or a 10-speed, you're leaving in second, and they're not getting to their overdrive gears. So what's the 10-speed flex or the 8-speed flex when you're not even using those gears that, you know, you're treating it like a Turbo 400.
Because they could drive it to the grocery store just like they did from factory.
We were
That's
talking
why.
about that with your T56 that you were doing. I was like, you probably only made it to third or whatever anyway when you were making
And I
that
went
hit,
through
right?
multiple
probably,
clutches. Like it was a pain in the ass of how much we were beating up on it. I put a power
Stick shift's a whole nother level. Of,
put a power glide in it.
Problems.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Stick
There's no
shifts
problems.
I think that's more costly than the automatic situation.
That's
you
what
have
I've
to
heard.
be baller.
Bugatti talk about that on his podcast. They're like, those people are just a glutton for punishment. And
That's
they hate
it.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man. Like we came to the point I was like, I can't afford being a stick shift racer. Can't afford it. Don't want to do it.
And I guess like you might get known for that, right? Like I did a bunch of Turbo 400s, so then you get known for it, and then I get more people who want to do it and swap them. So
You're not getting the tip of the cap as much as you used to, right? It used to be like, oh, you're stick shift, like, you know, bravo to you. And that's way more outplayed now than it used to be. It was
It's rare with stick shifts.
Yeah.
it is. I mean, nothing.
It's rare.
Nothing
That
in here
one.
is stick. That one. And that car made three passes and broke the diff. Like if your driving style doesn't, you know, if your driving style can't control power
very
like that,
expensive.
it'll break some shit.
what kind of power is that one making, by the way?
1100.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
Is that
and
Z06?
it's
Yeah, it's a Z06.
2650, so it's making all its torque at 3,000 RPM.
And we had it at 7 pounds.
No, it's probably somewhere in
14?
Yeah, probably 14 pounds or something.
And yeah, dump the clutch. It's just like,
And there was no stronger stubs for that. It happens, you know, it's part of having a stick car.
yeah.
But it was on like an 18-inch rear wheel, so it's a real hard tire that driveline shock just pissed it off,
Yeah.
I think. So, but
Do you get anybody in here who wants a road course build?
I was literally thinking that looking at this
Yeah.
car like 30
What's
seconds
crazy
ago.
is you could hear there's a road course like G2 is right here. Like it's super loud all weekend.
A mile and a half away.
Like a mile
Really?
away. But there's another Corvette shop down the street that I think has that clientele pretty much done. Like
I wouldn't be able to talk about it with knowledge, like I don't know.
Like outside of
much.
putting like Menskers on a car, like for drag racing, I don't know much about like, we put 15-inch conversion, 9-inch
I could
turbo
build you a
400.
really nice road course or autocross cam. Like we've done that before. We've done that. I understand the needs, right? We could totally build it.
I've done like some cool LS7 road course stuff that's still around. I've
Yeah.
done some ZL1 1LE stuff.
People are opinionated on the LS7. You got any thoughts on it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's probably that's to me like that's one of the like minus the LS9 between
Yeah,
those two
I
are
love
like
it.
this as far
If
as
I can have a
naturally
5th gen Z28,
Yeah.
that's like my dream
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
as far
my
as
dream car.
naturally aspirated, like that was a
So
killer
much
car.
fun. And what the thing about road course or autocross, some classes are limited by horsepower, right? So they have to meet 460. You
Yeah,
just
it's
did
like
one?
I had to tune it down to 450 or something. Like it was something.
450. So it's like that's fun. Like I find that really
But the
cool.
LT almost mimics like an LS7. Like these cars make power on like a naturally aspirated heads cam makes similar power to an LS7. LS7 had better intake valve. Like there's some different things in there, but
It's very similar.
there's nothing like a 7,500 RPM revving LS7. Like it's just a
It's
cool car. And the
pretty cool.
chop of the cam, like that's
We've got a friend of ours that he calls it baby girl, and I think he'll be buried in it. And he just bought and sold a C8 Z06. I bet he'll have a ZR1 on order. He has the means to get basically whatever he wants, but he's like this car is a 5th gen Z28, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
I'd rock
That's
that
another
car.
level.
Yeah.
That's like my dream car of mine, other than what I already have. That's my dream car. But if for the one that I don't have, that's my other one.
You don't see a lot of LS7 stuff. Very not.
We still do C6s. It's just now like the C7 is just more popular.
Well, it's all become, I don't want to say affordable, but it's a lot more accessible.
It is.
Like,
Yeah.
especially like this generation of Camaros as well.
The Z06 with like the carbon surround, that was a $115,000 car.
You have like 60 or 70 now, I think?
Yeah, it's got to be like half that. But like it was crazy when that car came out. That was like untouchable. Now like you see a lot more of them. But I can't imagine that being like a $120,000 car with all the carbon. Like holy cow.
those cars are getting crazy expensive anyway now to get something new and cool.
Yeah, like that. We were talking with Calvo today. Like this freaking Toyota TRD, what is it, Tacoma? It's like it probably starts at like 60.
Yeah.
It's like everything's just expensive.
No, the Sequoias were going for like 90 grand. I was like,
Yeah.
I could get a Land Rover
Toyota lasts
for
you
that.
forever though.
What does your clientele look like? Is it all 1/8 mile, quarter mile? You mentioned you don't do really much of anything on the road course. What do people come to you for?
Daily drivers.
Yeah.
Daily
So I
drivers.
would say
I got a great Toyota out there for a daily
I'm
driver.
sorry, a very small.
I'll put a Maggie on that. Like
Yeah, we will. We actually do Toyotas.
I do Maggies on Toyotas.
Yeah, we do.
And Tundras. And
I don't post that,
Random little thing we're a dealer
We're
for
a dealer for
Magnuson.
Magnuson, so
Do you
So-
just run a Magnuson tune then, or do you
Yeah.
custom
Yeah.
tune them?
Straight to it.
Okay.
And I've done
yeah, we
a lot
will
of
do.
them.
But honestly, about 95, maybe 97% of our clientele is just the one who sits in his garage, or it's his daily driver, the 19 to 25-year-old, maybe still living at home, just wants to modify his car, just wants it to sound cool, be faster than his friend.
She's talking about me, by the way.
Not racing, right? They have to always say, I don't
Only
race it.
against Scat Packs.
But
It
I
doesn't count.
say, so when you say not racing, does that mean like you don't gas it? No, I'll gas it. I'll, gas it from, then you're racing it, okay?
Yeah.
If you're stretching its legs out, you're racing it.
Yeah, maybe the word racing throws people off, but
It's like they think that if they're not on a race track or a drag strip, that they don't race. And that's not the case. Like if you're gassing it from light to light to light, you're probably putting more stress than an average race car.
you're like your ZL1 customer. It's not uncommon for somebody to say, I want 1,000 horsepower. That's like the staple of one of those. With a stock blower, it could be done spinning it to the moon, but like a 2650 on a stock bottom end, port injection, 1,000 horsepower, that's a pretty common build to do those. Stock motor.
They don't do nothing with it.
Yeah, they might not race it. And then you got some like this car, he races it any chance he could get in it. That car's
small percentage of racer that
very
we
small
have.
percentage like that will race it constantly.
But I'll get your guy that wants to make 1,000 horsepower on stock street tires, and he'll bring it in for an oil change, and it's got 93 octane
Yeah,
in
it was when I see him come in on 93, I'm
I'm
like,
like, what are you doing?
yeah,
Like, why did you pay me to build you a 1,000 horsepower car and you've got 93 octane in it? Well, it just sits. Okay.
yeah, that's a lot.
They like to say what's done to it. They want to say they've got more things done to it, maybe to their friends, maybe to themselves. I don't care why you want to say what you have done to it,
I mean, the competition keeps the industry alive too. The friends that are faster and, well, this one did this, I want to do that. So whatever keeps the industry going, I'm good with it.
We know shops that are building cars for like neighbors or like friends, and they want, like, they're keeping it secret from each one, right? Like either one doesn't know that their same cars are at the same shop. It's
and
such a crazy.
we'll treat it like that. Sometimes I won't let people in the shop. Like I do treat it like a doctor's office here. And you got to watch it. Sometimes cars get sold and like, give me all the information on this car. Well, is this guy just trying to scope out what's done to that car? Like we've always, from day one, we keep it like grudge racing is big here. Like that's why you don't see us posting time slips, anything like that. But we treat it like a doctor's office as far as confidentiality between what people are doing. And there's some that want to put everything out there, and they're happy to.
I have a majority of people that don't want to say what's done to their builds. Right?
Yeah, I'm one of those guys. Like
don't
when I got my
talk about
Whipple, it came with all these stickers to put on the car, and I'm like, nope.
And so that's why people come to us, because they know we're quiet about it. We're not going to talk about it.
California, there was no such thing as turning the boards off. Your times were lit every time.
Yeah.
That was a new concept. Like when we had left, that they finally stopped turning off the boards. Here, we moved to Texas, no boards are lit. Like it's just, that's how this scene is.
It's
like
quiet.
it makes it a lot more challenging if you're going to talk shit to that guy. If you have no clue what that car runs, you're going to be a little more humble, because he's going to take your money, or vice versa.
Yeah, it's gambling. It's all gambling out here.
So it's just who crosses the line first.
That's
then.
it. Line up and see what happens. Whatever staging games happen, and
Don't
just
have
a
to be
little
the faster car.
Yeah, a little bit of the California stuff was we never raced side by side. Like the lanes went into each other kind of at the end of the track, so we didn't get a lot of exposure to staging games and everything that goes on at the tree.
That sounded super sketchy, by the way. When I was listening to your episode on Go Hard, I'm like, man,
It is super sketchy.
They run cars together, but the one lane like merges. Like you go from
the
like
circle track would come in, so you had two lanes, and then the circle track would come into this lane at the end, so they would have to merge. So you'd have to be very nice to the man next to you to let them in. But
you'd be magic on 100.
it's just like Yellow Belly. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever been there, but
No.
it cuts in just the same way. But something we're familiar with, so we're not discouraged by it. But we like racetracks that are like obstacle courses. So
She does. I'm good. Hey, when we moved here, I had like another Mustang small tire SN95. Had a real motor in it though, not one of them Ford motors. I swapped that one too. And the first track we went to was Yellow Belly, and my car at that time was pristine. Like I was like, oh my gosh, what'd we move to? Like this is where I'm gonna race this car. And then I went to XRP and I was like, all right, good. But she went to Yellow Belly and was like, I'm good. This is where I want to race. But I liked XRP. It was just a really clean track, and your car didn't get dusty. Yellow Belly, you're parking in wherever. It could be rocks, grass, dirt, whatever's going on there.
But yeah, so majority of our customers is just the average guy or, lady that wants just more, whether it's sound, whether it's they could tell their friends it makes this much horsepower, whether they can list off the amount of parts that they have, whatever.
Take it down to one thing, like E85 conversion.
That's majority of
that's
what
like
we
if you had to pick the number one thing I'm doing to most cars is E85 conversion and like cams. Like everyone.
Wait, you mean not everybody's making 1,000 horsepower like the internet says?
The one I just finished today made 420. Like, that's all over the place.
447? Calm down.
Okay, yeah.
447.
I was about to say, that sounds like a VW GTI numbers.
Yeah, no, the internet's really made it hard for us. Like people's expectations of making, they think that they're going to pay for a tune to make 1,000, and then they see 447, and they're just like, how do these people get to 1,000, right?
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
There's
and
nothing
commitment.
nothing 100% reliable about 1,000 horsepower.
No.
You could safeguard everything you can, but there's nothing reliable, especially like a ZL1. It's expected to make 1,000 wheel on a stock bottom end.
Yeah.
That motor has main bearing issues from the factory. Like the main bearing is built into 3 pieces that comes apart. If you are bad luck owner in general, bad luck in life, and you bought a ZL1, you might be one of the ones that wins that lottery and it takes out the main bearing.
You know, those coyotes live at 1,000 for a good long
They
life.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Where's your shot, sir?
Yeah.
Hey.
What is the recipe? On 3 turbo kit, 1,000 wheel, go 7.
Yeah.
Power glide in it, turbo 400.
Have fun. They
What do you
stink.
got? You lock your cams out?
Mustangs smell.
No, don't lock the cams
Honestly,
out.
I don't know. See,
Not
that's
till
how
you
much
get
I
up
know.
into you get a little higher than that, then you
Oil
should,
pump
but-
gears. You got to do those.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
Depending who you ask.
I know my force.
We got away from Mustangs in 2018.
Yeah, just like we tuned Coyote, we did Dodge, Ford, and GM. It's just you can't be everything to everybody.
You can't be the best at everything.
No,
Yeah.
didn't work out.
So I picked GM, and I just had a history with it, and we stayed with it, and
We
just
like the clientele.
yeah. And then we're diving into the MoTecs. You know, just we're picking our niche and trying to stay with what we know really well, and do that.
So when it comes to 1,000 horsepower, right, there's the cheap way and then there's the best way to make 1,000 horsepower. Like I will hear like, well, hold on, it's not that much. You can make 1,000 horsepower with this setup and this setup. Let's take the Zeal one as an example. What's the best way, not the cheapest way, to make 1,000 on it?
So you want to keep a stock motor, or we want to do?
No,
Okay.
let's do the best way. The best, most efficient way, 2650, 4 triple system, heads cam, port injection.
Port
Okay.
injection.
Okay, that's the
On a
easiest
stock bottom
way.
end.
Stock bottom end, you don't even have to touch the motor.
And now the cheap way. What's the cheap way?
So the cheap way is more of an auxiliary fuel pump,
Okay.
right?
Methanol, and we don't even do methanol anymore. Like
Yeah,
I don't
like
install
somebody
methanol.
else can do, but you're
Yeah.
not going to make. Yeah, I guess you could do it with methanol. Methanol. You're not going to do port injection. You're not going to do the triple pump and the. So it's like we build something that okay, you're going to make 1,000, and then that's it. You can't grow from here, or you can make 1,000 and you can have space, right? So it's like, do you want to just be at the very limit of it, or do you want to be able to grow after you build the motor and add more boost?
So like a thousand.
So there's 2 ways of building it. And that's how I sell it. It's like, is that all you're gonna want to do? Because you're gonna come up to me in 6 months and be like, I want to make 1,200, and I'll be like, well, guess what? Everything you just did because you wanted a budget to only make that 1,000. Now we have to redo it now to make that 1,200.
I think the medical term is unfucking it.
yes, yes,
and all this
yes.
shit. So like 1,000 wheel. We just did a C7 to go 1,000 wheel the right way with MoTec, high quality parts, 2650 heads
Fuel
cam, triple fuel system. It's like $60,000. Smooth boost, expansion tanks. Like that's the right way.
Interchiller, like this is cooling.
Yeah,
Only thing
everything.
it didn't include is driveline.
Yeah. So that's your price point. Like heads cam on one of these cars with exhaust, I think is with 25,000 with the blower, like 2650 on it.
Not even.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's why I'm just a janitor.
Yeah, he's
dude.
just a janitor,
I'm just
bro.
a
Don't
fucking
even
janitor.
know.
You guys like those interchillers?
I love them.
Really? It's such a cool concept to me. I was gonna do that on my car.
So
at
it's
one
such a
point
cool
in time, but-
concept, right?
Yeah.
So why did you stray away from that?
I can't remember why I did it. I think it was I didn't do anything super crazy. I added I'm doing another intercooler pump, and I just went with a bigger core and bigger heat exchanger. I'm upgrading a lot of stuff. I'm not saying that I won't go to the bench. I didn't do anything crazy. I think it was at that point it was I didn't want to pay for it, and then I had heard stories about it dripping and stuff onto the track. Is that so they can frost up or they condensate?
There's 2 modes. Like you could put it in a race mode, which will only circulate between. It does not circulate into the AC in the car.
Okay.
So
This is forced induction, by the way. I
Yeah,
don't know
the
any
one-
other brand.
Yeah, no, that's all I have. The
Okay.
only
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I don't know any other brand.
well, you guys, where you're from, don't have a lack of ice. Have you ever been to Texas on a summer day trying to
And
go
you
to the
can't
track?
get ice.
Yeah.
You stop by Buc-ee's. You stop by everywhere. No,
No
ice.
ice.
So
Right?
that's
So
the one.
August, sometimes you can't get ice. So it's like, you're screwed.
You just idle one of those cars.
So if you
and
have an
you're done.
interchiller on it, guess what?
You
just
could-
turn on your AC. And dripping has not been an issue. There's
You could stick it, like they come with like real cool tape. You could tape around stuff. There's even paint you could paint the tanks with that'll hold the condensation. But it does go into a race mode, and that's another thing MoTec controls. I could put that into, let's say, their track setting and kick the interchiller just into race mode. So you could basically make it not come into the cabin. That's what's getting dripping is the cabin.
I
What's
would
coming
say
through the
for
cabin.
99% of people, your interchiller is going to be the best bet for you. Who wants to put in ice? It goes out in like 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who does that benefit? Just your hardcore racer that's going to dump ice and fill it, right? But you're a guy that's roll racing, your driver that's just on the street, just gassing it light to light, somebody that's just driving in the summertime. the Interchiller is going to work for everybody.
Corvette, it's super tight. Like, yeah, I could see things going wrong and maybe people get the wrong idea of it. It's tight. Like, it is up against the frame rail between the headers. You got to make sure you insulate everything good. There's kits I've seen that look like they were built at Home Depot, but like the stuff we build, like the guy makes some nice stuff. It's got nice fittings.
Yeah, but for your majority,
And when I say price, they weren't. It was like $1,200 or something for an Interchiller. It wasn't anything crazy. But I road course my car. I don't.
it'd be perfect for
Yeah,
that.
so I'm not doing it 10 seconds at a time. I'm beating the living shit out of my car for 30
so
minutes
ice
at a
is
time.
not an option for you. That's why you're going larger intercooler.
I'm upping the volume, so I did get an ice tank, but not to put ice in. I'm just
more
getting
fluid.
more volume and fluid and all that.
Same thing with the
so.
Interchiller. You still have to expand the capacity. And
But a lot of people don't do that.
And even like, even in a ZL1, it's not the hardest thing, but it's a hard thing to tell a customer, I want you to put a tank in your fender to expand the fluid capacity for the blower. In the customer's head, it's not like, that's not a dollar for dollar like gain in power number. But you rip one of these cars down the track and then try to do it again right after, it's going to be down a bunch of power.
60, about 60.
And
Yeah,
these
well, if you ever
cars-
sat there with a PD blower running and you watch your IATs climb, you're going to go, holy
same shit.
Yeah.
And you put it, at least move 2.5 gallons into the fender and keep it as a reservoir when you need
And that's
it.
the hardest thing for me to sell, surprisingly, is just a fender tank for an expansion tank. And that's the hardest thing for me to
They come with
explain
air,
to people.
like there's.
But
air
that's the
in
most
these blowers,
beneficial modification you could do to a PD blower, right?
Yep.
What's the cost of something like that?
$600.
Also? Yeah, I don't see why you would not.
Because a pulley sounds cooler.
Yeah.
And you can see a pulley.
Yeah, more boost, right? And
Right.
more boost.
No, I learned early on and expensively learned that cooling is like your number one biggest. And even just when I'll run at Road America in my car, and I'll run in the morning when it's nice and cool.
Yeah.
And then I'll
Afternoon
lose 3
comes.
seconds running in the afternoon because the car isn't running nearly, you're not getting nearly as much power.
And
It's
an
pulling all
Interchiller
that.
would keep it consistent.
And imagine like idling this car through the staging lanes with a PD blower for 20 minutes.
And
in
they just let
August.
it idle.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. They just let it idle for 10 minutes. And if you have an Interchiller, it likes that.
Yeah.
So it's like more beneficial to you.
They
So
get
it's
a
like
bad
perfect
rap.
for the average consumer to get an Interchiller rather than an ice tank that basically your only hardcore racer is going to be able to use that ice tank, not your average consumer.
Data for data, ice tanks are colder. Like if you could pack
Like if you're a racer, like
Yeah.
I said, if you're a hardcore racer, I'm an ice girl. Like I'll do ice, right? That's
Just
what I've grown
pack
up with.
it,
I'm
yeah.
old school. I know what's going in. I could feel it. I could touch it. I know when I'm taking it out, how hot it is or how cold it is. Like I want to touch it. But like if it was just a daily cruiser, like Interchiller all day.
and it comes down to like the strategy.
This 1400 horsepower Camaro has an Interchiller, like no ice. It works perfectly for him.
One of the other reasons I didn't want to go ice, and if I do add something to my tank, it will be like frozen bottles of water that I'll add in there. Because also we
last
put
longer.
our cars away in the winter. I don't have to flush that whole system out and put antifreeze back in.
Yeah, and that's serious. I consider that a serious racer. Like
Yeah.
your average guy is not going to do that.
No.
So
Because
it's
if I
like,
have to take the
that's
water out,
different.
otherwise I'm going to get in the winter and it's going to freeze and everything's going to crack and break and then I'm fucked.
Yes, yes.
I learned that one the hard way.
Yeah, did you?
Well, I think once I remember like one of our friends, when we first traveled
GP
here,
tuning.
I lived in California my whole fucking life, so we never saw cold weather. And we get here and we traveled through New Mexico and everything in a stacker with 2 race
Like,
cars
it was
with
19
water in them.
degrees. It was just me.
And he was like, "Did you put coolant in those things?" I was like, "Oh fuck!" And it ended up like popping. It popped like the blower cooler line off or something. Like it froze something.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Oh man, she's gonna make it here. I'm gonna need 2 blocks. Like we're done." It never even was a thought that you had to deal with.
New Mexico's
that shit.
cold. It was 19. There was frost all over the stacker, like in the front, like which was like ice frost. I was like, this is bad.
Yeah,
I've seen somebody doing that with a trailer and they had heaters going in the trailer while
Smart.
they were
Yes.
going
Yes,
through.
we've done that now.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nick, there you go.
Try to start a methanol car on a 20-degree morning of a race. Like every heater in the camp is in people's trailers, heating them up. I used to put heaters on this car's an oil pan heater. Now I've gotten a little nicer than putting the space heater under the.
Yeah.
You just turn on the oil pan heater. Turn on the oil pan heater, it'll fire up eventually. little brake cleaner in the blower, it'll be all right.
We upgraded.
I've seen people do that, like up north, if you don't have a garage, where they just like tarp a tent over the car and then they put one of those kerosene heaters in underneath there so they can work on their truck. Or,
Savage.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
nope, I'm bougie now.
Yeah.
It's probably 68 in here.
But yeah, Interchiller is like a really good I mean, we used to be against it too, and we don't even know what reason. It's just in
No,
our
you see
old
the kids
school
look like
minds.
they're from Home Depot. Like you went to
They
the
were
plumbing
bad.
section.
They
and
were bad back
copper
in the
fittings
day.
on
Oh
everything.
shit,
and
yeah.
They were bad back in the day,
It's changed.
but now they have improved, and for the
Even if
average
it's
consumer.
The greatest thing in the world, somebody will find some way to talk shit about it online.
100%.
So it's like you
Right?
start reading and you get down this rabbit hole, and it's
Yeah.
like it's
But it's like
hard.
we see things in multiples, right? So it's like we're
Yeah.
not just looking at one where that person just had their one bad experience.
What about that review from today? What was that review again, Dan, that you were reading? It was like a
what was
5.
it? What was it? Was it a restaurant we were gonna go to? What was it?
Oh God, why didn't you?
No, it
talk
was
to
your
us about this?
supplement thing, right?
Oh yeah, I was getting some supplement stuff. I had a bug before we left, so I was trying to get some prebiotics, and I went in and I got this stuff, and it had really good reviews. And I found one review was like, she's like, I bought this for my boyfriend and he left me. I was like, it's a prebiotic supplement. Like, what are you talking about? It was super weird.
The internet
She left a
has given the power to that. It's fucking
I'm like, this
wild.
doesn't have anything to do with the product or anything. Like, then all of a sudden, were you making him sick? And all of a sudden, his gut started feeling better. So he's like, what am I doing with this bitch? And he left. Like, I don't know what's going
That,
on.
lost all
that
his
explains like reviews, restaurants, anywhere. It's
Okay,
crazy.
I have
right.
to admit, I have a problem, and I'll buy things off of Instagram, and I'll look at all the comments right before I buy it, and
Yeah.
which are all good. But then when you buy it and you realize all those comments were bots, and you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, no way in hell this was good. Like you are all on crack.
Same thing with like a TikTok shop, which granted I have friends that have made some serious money off of it, but like they'll be like in groups, like those like Discord groups, and it's like, all right, go comment on my new video. Oh my
Yes.
God, this is the greatest product
Yeah,
ever.
and it's not.
And then they make 10 grand off
It's
of it,
not.
fuckers.
Yeah.
All right, serious interviewer. So what was
I am a professional.
I am a professional, yes. So obviously you've been doing this for some time, including
Is it the gray hairs?
No, we got gray hairs now.
You did talk about when you started and how long you guys have been around.
We used
so.
to follow a couple around, like we street race them. They were like the older
Shout
couple.
out to Jenny and Eric.
Jenny and Eric. They were like the role models. They just like always had cool shit. Like I think we turned into the old people now. Like I'll sit somewhere, I'm like, fuck, all you motherfuckers are 20. Like
People are gonna be walking
This
up
is
to you
my
like, "What's
life
up,
as well."
OG?"
I learned
sadly.
bet when I moved to Texas. I
We
didn't know
did.
what bet.
I was like, why did this guy just say bet?
Fact.
Thank you, Diego.
Capping. But Diego, I never knew what bet was.
Thanks,
I'm like, what the
Sour.
fuck is bet? Like,
I ain't bet.
This guy wants to bet me, bro.
Yeah. So, yes, I'm
Yeah.
the old people who've been
we are
doing it.
old. Sadly, but I try to keep up. But you know, when you do get your old age, you get to a point where you're like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's where I fall. I hang out with a lot of 20-year-olds in
Yeah, you
this business
just can't-
too.
This guy travels the country with me now, and I'm the older one between the two of us.
Not really, though.
Not really, yeah.
No,
So
well,
I'm 25, he's 42.
He gave me a very good compliment the other day. Yeah. He
See,
gave
that's
me
what
a-
I sit around with all the time.
I know. He
old are
gave me
you?
a good comment the other
Wait,
day.
how
He
old
was
are-
like,
how old are
"You're 25 when I need you to be, and 40 when I need you to be." So like, I do have my moments where I'm a absolute child, and then when we're
Yeah, we all
partying
got
with
that.
Justin White
Yes.
in
Yeah, yeah,
Vegas,
yeah.
I can very much be 25.
That
Well, we
video
can be
needs to
25 at
surface.
Texas 2K.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
noted.
Perfect.
Okay.
Text 2K a party.
Yeah.
It's a
All
good
right.
time.
Okay.
It's stressful all day,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it's
That's what I've noticed. Like everything just chills out. It's like, breathe.
And it ends
when
pretty
that
quick,
moment
so
happens, it's just like all the
I
stress.
think
is out.
everything ends at like sundown. So.
And then the roll
Yeah.
racing day when we don't got shit to do because I have no roll race cars there. That's
Yeah.
the real party. That's a good time. So about us being old.
No. Like, can we change the subject? Why did I know that was going to come up?
No. So, okay, what I was getting at there is like, obviously you've been through some experiences doing this, whether it was your old job or, you starting your business. What has been like the most daunting or scary thing that you've had to learn or adapt to? Because I'm sure that's come along at some point,
Moving
right?
states.
Yeah,
Moving states.
we moved, officially opened the shop February of 2020 in Texas.
What a
roughly.
great time to open.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what a great time to open
That
a
was our
shop.
first time in a gym, by the way.
Yeah, so we COVID hit obviously, and imagine being brand new, no clue where your next dollar was going to come from, opening a brand new shop in a brand new state with brand new people.
And
What a good
obviously
state to
doing-
open in, by the way. You
Oh,
know how
yeah.
fucked you would have been in California?
Yes,
Oh,
100%.
great state.
So-
I mean, this is a great
But the
state.
car market blew up with COVID. But the
did.
problem was you couldn't get parts. That was
Correct.
the other fucking problem.
So we got screwed with that. I'm not
Good
for.
thing we're like booked out.
I'm not
Yeah.
for what they did with the stimulus and how much it fucked up the economy. But guess what was $1,200 at the time? A flex fuel tune. Guess what a lot of $1,200 payments went out to? So if I gave COVID credit for
It was
something.
actually a really good time for us.
But the only thing that during COVID that was real was our business complex was normal. Like life didn't change there and the racetracks didn't change.
So COVID didn't really
Like
affect
Clyde would get on Instagram Live drunk as hell, like talking
that is so
shit
crazy.
on
The best social distancing was gapping fools.
Yeah,
100%.
It was. Drinking at the bar at XRP.
Do you care for your health? Yeah, well, 20
I'm gonna keep them away. But the track was like nothing changed. Like the world stopped everywhere else.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
racetrack
We were
was the
good.
same, and
We were good.
it worked out. It was okay, and we expanded our business.
But moving
Then-
your home and your business to a completely different state was probably the most stressful time of our life.
Yeah.
Probably gained 40 pounds from it.
Yep.
Very stressful. Did a lot of drinking.
When you switch, the first huge jump off the cliff was like a W-2 job, making good money, into self-employed.
Yep.
Then you got to learn all that shit, and then we ran that course for a little bit, and then to go to a whole new state, we knew the product, we knew the market, so we
I
kind
was
of
doing a lot of networking. I was, like I said, I moved out here 6 months before he did. So I would go to car meets. I would go to local racetracks. Like I met everybody that I could that I wanted to talk to.
Netflix probably had a helping hand in
It
that,
did.
just because people knew the cars, so that kind of broke the ice. And then we both had cars at the time, and we had a stacker, and we were always at the tracks. We sponsored like Flashlight Shootout, which was a pretty cool race. 1320 like interviewed us and stuff. Like just
That's cool.
Just a lot of stuff like added on, but it was just we had so much passion. Like we never worried about it. Like it was scary, but I think we knew we loved what we did. So the passion really drove that, and everything came with it because we just
I think
were
we
all
really
in.
help each other in this. Like I know, like Julio, he does this. You know, he doesn't have like Bailey's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
like she has her own job. Like he's doing that on his own, like opening up a shop. But it's like I feel that we're like a little power force in it. And people might hate me, and that's why they might not do business with us because I am the person they interact with the most, right? It's me.
Well, they need somebody to hate.
Right. So
You
it's
get
like
the phone call that's like, "Can I talk to somebody who knows about this?" She's like, "Yeah, can I help you?" And then you could tell the tone's already off, like, right off the bat. And
you know, it's like you're gonna get people that don't want to work with you, right? Because typically a female is not answering every question for you and building your whole build with you, and then it gets passed off to him, you know, after they've already committed.
But are you also working on the cars as well?
No,
Okay.
I don't touch cars. Nope.
Okay.
That's not
but
my forte.
You work so much with him that you have an
in
understanding.
the beginning, every 2 seconds, she used, like when we first started, like she always knew cars, always.
Right.
But she would come out into the shop and ask questions. Now you could put a $60,000 quote together, a full MoTec build, and never even say one word to me about anything on that car, and know exactly how.
And he
to
would just
build
show up and he's like, what do I got to do? He just reads the list and then he does it, right?
Yeah.
But it
so
comes
it's like,
from-
yes, having me as the front face might be a problem, but you know, maybe it might
And
not
both
be.
of us at 2 a.m, like wake up like, oh fuck. So do we order that part? Like we're very all in this. You leave your 9 to 5 to work 5 to 9, right? Like we're
Yeah.
very all in at all hours.
24/7.
And we take it home with us.
We do.
Like when you shouldn't, like we'll take it home, but we care that much about our business that we're
Like we're having fun.
obsessed
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Well, somebody has to do that part of the job too, right? Like you can't run every aspect of the business as one individual, either of you, right?
You couldn't. This could not be done with. I could not do this myself 100%. Like the time
And
it
I couldn't
takes.
do this without him. So
We were just talking about putting my phone on grayscale and all this
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and like
I could tell when some weeks he's like not where he should be. And I'm like, are you on your fucking phone?
yeah. But it's like
Like, motherfucker, like you need to
could
get off.
I remote tune a lot of stuff. I have a lot of tuning buddies, and we all help each other. But
I'm
you
like,
could
just turn it off.
you could end up on a tangent and just devoting your time where it shouldn't be. So I'm very much
Arguing in
trying
the
to-
comments on Facebook is one.
You gotta. He doesn't have Facebook.
Exactly.
So
You spend
for
like 10 hours a week.
Cheese and rice, I can't imagine.
If you're
he did.
sitting on the dyno though, you're loading tunes at 2 minutes a piece every time you're doing it. So yes,
So I
there's a
see
little
why
more
like
induction.
the tuners, like, because they're on Facebook like way too much, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, God, don't you guys have like work to do? Like, how do you even like survive?
But I don't think most shops run like I could really screw up a day if I'm on my phone all day. Like then
I
it's
don't
gonna
know how they
throw it
survive.
by.
I really don't. I'm like, shouldn't you be focusing on customers' cars? But yet you're here bitching at some kid on the fucking Facebook. It's just like, it's a whole nother level for me.
I can't pick it up and take it. So I have a shop at home, and sometimes my wife will be like, "Hey, I need you to go pick the kid up at 4 o'clock," and I'm like, fuck, man, if I have to do like 3 hours here and then go do something else and then
done.
come back,
Screws it up.
it fucking
You're
sucks,
screwed.
man.
Screws it
yeah.
up.
You're screwed.
I want to be able to like turn on the music,
Yes.
everybody leave me alone, start throwing wrenches at shit, and then
Same shit. Like I didn't like the next step in this deal. I wanted to do a cam. I got to pull the oil pan off, but I stopped because that's like a solid 8 hours of that step of the car, and I went to like doing a trans brake button over here, and then I got to put a parachute handle, and like I tried to divide up something you got to get small wins in the day, right? Like, you got to be successful on each thing you do, and like that one, I know I'm not going to get that done by the end of the day, so it's a lot of
Yeah, so that's what helps us is I'm able to schedule, which a lot of shops don't schedule, right? And so I'm like, okay, he's got a week long of let's say a C7 with MoTec, a Magnuson, 4 Innovations fuel system, that one that's
and
coming
then
with a cage.
and then a fitting doesn't come and it fucks the whole thing
So it's
up.
like I have to, I'll
Then
like,
you got to jump to the next one.
I'll put in a tune, right, to break it up. So it's like he's not completely stressed by this C7 that's causing him hell. He can, have a win.
You
with
got to walk
a
away from
basic
shit
tune.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah,
Like, you
absolutely.
have to. Like,
Yeah.
as much as that car needs to go home, it may need a fresh set of eyes where
might.
it's just something is.
He'll sleep
fighting
at
me.
night and he'll wake up and he'll be like,
Oh yeah, that
oh my
fixed
God, I know what will fix this.
You'd
And I'm
be
like, what the fuck did you dream
sitting
of?
there and you're trying
What
to
did
start
you
this
just dream
bolt.
about?
It's like 1,000 times. You're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? And then whatever. And then I'll get pissed off and I'll like throw it, and my dad will go in and go,
Bink, you're like, mother.
Yeah.
you fucking
and that's
asshole.
that's a huge success for
Yeah.
someone that wants to open up a business. Is like you need to give yourself wins.
You have to.
Because
that's-
if you don't, you are going to run yourself dry. You're going to drink every night, and
I say that all the time. Like I need a win. Like
I need
something
a
like
win.
in this industry, nothing is predictable. Nothing is on time. Everything does not go as planned. It is
Yep.
not common when something just goes perfect from the get-go. Everything is so custom, and you start talking this fuel system with this blower and this manifold and this set of valve covers and this breather and this guy's exhaust. Like nothing goes right. Like it's very difficult to.
And I don't
Go
want
through
to
it that way.
let the customer know that we're having, I don't want to say issues, but
No,
like
you're not
more
supposed to, yeah.
challenges. And I don't, because we will get through it. And so it's like you don't let them know that. And
Well, and that's the other thing too, is right. I actually talked about this again today. It's like it's difficult because you want to communicate as much as humanly possible, but the problem is if you over communicate, hey, we're having this issue, we can't find this
stress them
fucking
out
bolt.
for no reason.
Then you're stressing them out
For no reason.
or making yourself look more incompetent when in reality this is just how business is.
Sometimes you could like review it at the end. Like this car, they may have bought the car, they think it's stock. I start taking it apart. This whole car's been apart before,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. O2 sensors are stuck in something. I could present that to them after the, hey, you needed O2 sensors, they're $100. Like,
Yeah.
I fixed the problem. Then you might give them that information too soon. Like, oh my
then
gosh.
they're stressed
But sometimes
out.
if you don't give the information and they don't know that car was modified before, and I go pull a computer out and the flex fuel pin's broken in the ECU because the last guy did it, like, it's a balance.
fragile
Just figure out how
thing.
much to
You have to
give.
communicate.
I mean,
it
that's
all.
something I will communicate for sure.
Yeah.
But
I would assume you come out here every once in a while. I have to have my wife help me set the supercharger back on so I don't roll an O-ring or a gasket or something.
I use
right?
a jack. She won't come out here when it's cold.
Oh, really?
She will not come past those doors when it's cold. Now, when it's blazing hot in the
58
summertime,
degrees
she'll
out
come out,
here.
but she will not. She'll
What's cold for you guys?
She's.
in this,
is fucking cold
if
right here.
it's 58 in here, I probably won't.
Oh, I
come
set my
out.
shop to 55.
It's 72.
I'm
in
moving
my
around and
office.
stuff. That's like a good temperature.
Yeah,
But
he
It's
can
probably
call,
like
He
65
can call
in
his
here and
dad
it's
to come
cold.
help him.
But
No, I'll help him. I always help him with
You
his
did some
exhaust
jumping jacks
systems.
before.
there's days we don't see each. Not like we see each other. We have our coffee in the morning. We talk. We go over our
Yeah.
day.
It's just like a
but there's a
job.
day where it's 5:00, and both of her are like, where the hell did the week go? Because there's so much going on in here, and she's got so much going on in there. The whole week could go by, and you're like, oh crap, the whole week went
It's
by.
fun though. I like building cars like on paper, and then he, makes it come to life.
All the struggles that becoming an entrepreneur and doing this was all worth it though. Whatever shit we've been through and opening a business and moving states, like I come to work every morning happy. There's a car I may not want to work on that she'll take in some jobs. I'm like,
I know, I'm
"Oof, I don't know about that one, but there's,
I am the bill payer, so
but I truly enjoy this stuff.
Well, touch on that a little bit, right? Because sometimes when somebody starts a business or goes out on their own, they expect like, all right, now I'm gonna be happy every day. I'm doing what I want. When in reality, it's like there's still shit days.
there is, but it's worth it. It's better to have our shit days working for ourselves than have shit days and working for somebody else.
You're working towards your own like goal, right? And your own thing to do. So yeah, I don't have bad days. I don't know what
No.
sets us off. Is someone like, You gotta drown.
If someone loses a race, I can't sleep.
If
Right?
she watching races, her hands will be sweaty.
Yeah,
like we're
like,
watching it live on TV.
I feel it. I will like feel for it. 'Cause,
Even
like,
if that guy should not be racing that guy, and that's way more car than that car, she still don't like it.
Yeah.
But
So that's the part that gets me
Someone-
heebie-jeebies.
someone completely irrelevant could say something about your business, and you're gonna take it to heart, right? You gotta
Oh, yeah.
drown that out as much as you can, and kill them with kindness, and like you gotta drown that out. That if
the
anything's
hardest
difficult,
part.
if someone says something,
Yeah, about you, about your personal life, about your business.
Yeah.
and you care so
That
much about
hurts.
it, like this is our life, right? This is our livelihood, this is our life, this is what affords us to do everything we do, and someone does not have all the facts or says something, that hurts. Like you'll screw up a night's sleep on that one for sure.
That's
But
the
if you're
hard
not
part.
obsessed with your business, then it doesn't grow, right? Like it
Right.
doesn't, it's not, you
Yeah,
don't
it
care
doesn't
about
succeed either way.
Yeah.
I'd argue the hardest part about, and I've told this to Dan sometimes, is like the hardest part about what I do is sometimes I'll put out a highlight and then sometimes a guest will just get berated. And it's usually just because somebody takes something out of context or
You're
like, you
wait
know,
a minute, I didn't even think.
or even better, sometimes it's like, all right, you got somebody that's 160 IQ and the average IQ is temperature of this room, so 65. And it's like, it turns into a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, you got to take the wins where they are, right?
Netflix exposes to a lot of that, so there's like,
Which I don't get it, right? Because that episode, like, I'm just like, yeah, the fucking Mustang's gonna win. Like, I forgot the episode, right? It's been
See, I
years.
think opposite.
No, we were
I
like,
would
we're
co-
fucked.
Yeah, I was competing against a 6-second all-wheel drive Honda, and Lyle
Was that a
Barnett.
6-second Honda?
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
really?
gone
Now he
sixes.
is, but
he
I-
went
'Cause they-
7-4s back in
Really?
2018.
Yeah.
Because that
He's gone
episode
sixes
portrayed him
now.
as a piece of shit.
Well, they
Well,
did
they
it on
did that.
purpose, but
Yeah.
there's a whole editing to that. But like all those, Lyle should have destroyed us, right?
Yes.
That car was
The
like a
one that
good no
almost hit
prep
me.
car. McLaren, we took that as the slowest one. We're like, oh, he's
I
fucked.
immediately
figured
thought
that.
that.
yeah,
Fuck that
yeah.
thing.
So
Yeah.
like,
I'm like
there's something.
650.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And like Manny, like I've been following him for a few years too. It's like he's got some
You didn't watch
fast
the
cars.
finale.
I did, but I forgot it.
Yeah,
I watched it
finale,
years ago.
Finale.
Screw the first episode. Or
I
the-
mean, to meet
watch
somebody.
the finale. The finale's the good one.
Yeah, it's been
So
years since I watched that
the
one.
front wheel drive Honda, the nitrous one, yes, he's fast for what he is, but it's like
The
the all wheel
all-wheel
drive
drive Honda.
one in the finale, Frustrate EG, like that car's on a whole nother level.
Okay,
But to
I'll
get
have to rewatch it.
But it's a Honda, right? So I've got a really good percentage that something's gonna fuck up,
And we
and that's
said it.
what I was gaining on.
Yeah.
Well, like what's so we watched.
Wait,
this-
wait. I want to know about this Netflix thing. Take me from step one. Did you guys apply?
No,
Did you?
nope. So
Somebody didn't
actually,
listen.
So I knew
Well, that's
being
supposed to
in the
listen.
racing world, right? I went to Irwindale every fucking
Yep.
Thursday. So there's not too many fast females. There's quite a few. Don't get me wrong. There's, I can name probably 5 of them that were there. But I had someone, he worked in the movie industry. And so he pushed out my name for season 1. I didn't have anything. I did a lot of other filming for other TV shows. They're kind of weird.
Yeah.
Weird, bro, weird. So when they asked me to film for this, Fastest Car season 1, I was like, I'll pass. I watched season 1, and I was like, wow, this is actually a really good show. Like, I fucked up.
very good production
Yeah,
value.
I fucked up. Like, I should have been on it. So season 2 came around, they called me again. They're like, hey, do you want to be on the show? And I was like, I do, but I don't have a car, but I will build one. So it took us 2 months. We found one of
All
our
that was real. Like there was no bullshit in us taking
found
the car
our
the first
customer
time.
crashed his car doing autocross, doing a 0-1. He I don't know, he skidded out.
We bought that motor and driveline for $12,000.
Holy shit.
You
Yeah.
can't buy that motor for 20 today.
Yeah.
No.
Like,
Yeah. And then I love Mustang, so I just found a $1,500 Mustang and just plopped it in. And this man worked day and night.
Me and Ryan, like there was no
Yeah.
sleep. Like,
Yeah.
and they would like every week they'd be like, we need
They'd
a
be like,
video.
we need an idle video. We'd have like another car idling on the side and it faking that it was the
They
car
like
idling.
had to see,
bro.
like they wanted to not
Like,
screw up their show.
Right.
And then
Right.
like at the end of it all, we're like finding out some people got paid, and we're like, we fucked up. Like these people got paid
It
to
was
be on
You
it.
guys didn't even get paid?
No, it was
No.
2 days of our time.
But it was
Yeah.
like it was just funny after the fact. But
It was
like
right down the road.
all those struggles were like real. And then we really modified the car even more between the 2 episodes. Like we skipped by the first one. It looked like we destroyed everybody.
He wanted me to put an automatic in it. I was not going to put an automatic in it.
Yeah, but we got smart last minute and like left in second gear and just laid super soft power and just let it go through. And then the next episode, we thought we won. Like at the end of the filming, we 100% thought we won. And we thought they edited it and screwed us, and like there's a whole thing with that. But then we watched it, and if you watch the finale, you could see the McLaren.
You can't see 5 lanes across.
Yeah,
the
so like the
reality,
angles are weird.
I'm looking right here, right, and then I see Lyle, which you need to watch the finale. In my mirror, I just see a white Mustang spin out and go through all my mirrors. So literally, the only thing I'm seeing is this white Mustang about to hit me. And so I'm not looking 5 lanes across to see this McLaren.
Wait, was Lyle the wrapped McLaren?
Lyle's
No.
a Mustang Fox body.
No. So, but the McLaren, was that the 720?
That's Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in that one, I can't remember, was that the season where like the surface was also really weird?
That
for
was
the
in
finale?
season 1.
That was the season 1
Yeah,
finale.
season 2
That
is.
was done at like the Salt Lake.
Yes. Okay, so that was season 1. Okay.
I'm glad I didn't do season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really goofy. That's why I was like, because like,
No, this was an actual airstrip military
So I think we
base.
asked them before we did it
Yeah.
where it was going to be, and they said, "Oh no, it's going to be on an airstrip."
That was our first exposure to like real filming. Like they were pushing us to say things, and like there were
Yeah,
days of
They
production.
wanted you to talk shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like they wanted you so bad. Well, did you know what this guy said about you? And I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
If you win this,
You know?
does this just ruin your life if you don't win? I was like, bro, no, I'm just having fun. Like I'm just doing car shit with people.
you could tell they were trying to build
You
that
can tell
drama.
fluffed like production.
Yeah.
So how much do they want to, because my dad used to watch this show, the like flip your house shows and shit, and then it just got to be all about everybody's sob story too. How much of that did they want you to like be like, did you have to have some sort of like background story too?
So then that's why I asked them. I told them, I was like, I don't have some crazy story. I don't have
Right.
somebody that died. That's why I'm racing for. Like we just do this because we're just
like
weirdos.
Chad's wife died of cancer, so there's
Yeah.
a whole story. Everybody had some
a
pretty
legit
wild
story.
shit.
Yep.
And we didn't.
This
we were
is
just car
probably the
people.
most realistic like filming production that I have ever encountered. And like I said, I filmed with people before doing other TV shows that never got aired. They're weird. But I really noticed about myself, I hate being on camera. I fucking hate it. And so I had one producer that I was able to talk to. He had to go step out and he had to go answer a phone call, right? So he left during the middle of filming, and then the director came on and started asking me questions, and I was unable to talk to him. I was like, I buttoned up. Like, I didn't want to talk to him. I'm like, I can't, I have no connection
They try to
you.
push a narrative, and you didn't know the narrative because of all the stories
I
they were
knew
trying
it
to tie together.
because the Honda guy did not like females racing, right?
Oh.
So they kept pushing Honda
They kept on
stuff.
pushing Hondas on me. Like, how much do you hate Hondas? Like, how much do you not like imports? In which I fucking hate Hondas, so fuck those things. So it's like, I hate them, right? So they pushed that. Well, in reality, they had a Honda also in the finale. So they're trying to push that, bring us together. You know, I'm a female racing, and now I'm racing a Honda. So they collaborate their stories, obviously, to make a good show, but it was probably the most realistic. Like, they didn't fabricate
Yeah, it was
anything.
real. The stories were real.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool.
I loved when you came on, and it's like, yeah, we saw he was working on his car, and we're like, oh shit, it can't fucking happening.
Oh yeah,
That
he
was so
got the
funny.
spark plugs from us when they had to crack out that spark
Yeah,
plug.
yep.
Motherfucker, that was true. They had the film of that cracking out the spark plug out of the head, and he got the spark plugs from me.
Yeah.
They didn't show that part, so it's like, oh,
That car's sitting in a barn somewhere now.
the ZR Stang. Sadly,
We raffled that thing, made some good money on it. It's done.
that was a good
Oh,
car.
really?
It went to a friend of ours, which is pretty cool. But
That's a good
that's cool.
car.
we raffled
It's a
it,
good
and then the
car.
guy that used to race with us in California lives in Missouri.
No,
And-
Mississippi.
He won the car in the raffle, and then we dropped it off. She dropped it off to him on the way to pick up that car.
That
That
is
was
a
a
cool
good car,
car.
man. And if you saw it after, I don't know if you saw any following after. People call me the wheelie queen. Like, I just did wheelies in that thing. So how I built it for wheelies. I actually ended up doing that. So that's all I did was just drag the bumper wheelies. So it's pretty cool.
Tell us a little bit about this car. What's the story with this?
So my car, the ZR Stang, the one that was in the show, needed some upgrades from wheelies. It comes down, bends everything.
5 years of
Shot
beating
out
the
a rod.
shit out of it.
Finally, 4 years later, I ended up
Well, the
shooting
new
out a
edge
rod.
is still a Fox body, whether people want to like.
This is
It's
still
true,
a Fox
true,
body.
true.
Same
This is
shit.
new.
Yeah.
So I shot out a rod during H-Town. It's all on film, literally my reaction and everything to the rod coming out of the block. Sad, sad day. Very. And I was like, okay, well, let's just put another LS9 in it and keep on going. And he's like, well, everything's bent. We want to go faster.
Strut towers are bent, control arms.
We
like
need
every
a fuel
bolt in there,
system.
Yeah.
it's just done.
You
Like,
need a safer cage. I'm like, that sounds expensive. So my buddy was like, well, if you could get another car today, what would you get? I was like, I'd get probably an '04 Cobra, and I would love it to be blue. And he was like this one?
Well, first I was like, I want the torque boxes to be upgraded. So this has all aftermarket torque boxes.
So he showed me on Facebook Marketplace like this one, and it was this car from Bipolar. It was just a roller, right? No engine, no trans, just the rear end, wheels and tires, roller. And I was like, yeah, just like that one.
We're at like a nice dinner Facebook
We're at
bombing
Perry's
this guy.
Steakhouse, and I'm
answer your
staring at my
phone.
phone, and I'm just like, this guy needs to answer. Like, I want to buy this now. And I guess he vetted me to make sure, because he's a no prep racer, and he built the car for no prep. And he was like, I had to stalk your Facebook to make sure I wanted to sell it to you. And he did.
But like the full roller, '03 original Cobra, '04, whatever year it is, paint, wheels, tires, suspension, rear end, 25.3 cage, full interior was 27 grand.
Oh,
Like as the paint job's 13 grand on that car.
Just an 03 04 Cobra as a roller, I think is 10 grand.
Yeah.
Plus, and then you add the paint job was brand new. Like they were building it for SEMA.
And so I love no prep, like I mentioned, and it's just more fun. I find it fast. I find it more fun than going like fast. But we built it for no prep, but we're learning, right? So this is I wanted something where he can learn. Like that's what, he learned with my car with the supercharger. He learned with his SN95 turbos. It was the first turbo car he ever did. This is the first F3 Pro Charger we ever did. So it's like I try to build things where he can learn.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you're not really going to learn if you just go on the street. Like, how consistent is that going to be? So let's take it to the track. So it's like we're learning.
Trying to get the data and power management down before I go stick it on a sketchy surface. Number one, the car's too damn pretty. So that was the first mistake. I should have bought something not so nice. Like, car's gorgeous. So we put radios on it. We've been radio racing it just to get the feel of the fuel tech. I mean, it's a methanol car, makes 40 pounds of boost. Like, it's fuel tech. I was new to fuel tech at the time. So I wasn't ready to stick it down no prep. And then it's just too fucking nice. So we've only radio raced it so far.
I would love to take it no prep eventually, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
But so that's the story with this car. It's just, like I said, I like building him something that he can learn off of. We're not benefiting if we keep on doing the same shit, right? Like, no one benefits other than we get really good at what we do, but we've already done that. Now let's start venturing into some other things too.
If you want to make it shittier, I probably have some parts laying around and we can. I know I have a set of headlights that don't look nearly that nice.
Hey, I like my headlights.
I can help you with your problem. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I have the original dash out of that car, the Cobra dash. I got no use for it now. It's got a fuel tech dash in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a 400 cubic inch F3 Pro Charge car.
Late model engine.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's a lot of LME fun stuff on there.
So that's a whole nother story.
Okay. That's what we're here for, stories.
Yeah, so we have come across a few engine builders, and that's probably the hardest thing that you can trust, right?
Yeah.
You don't see the shit in there till you blow it up on some people. And they've just been, since I had a problem with the one in my car, and then we met them, they built me a motor and it made it like 500 passes at 2,000 horsepower.
And it looked flawless.
And we pulled it
And
apart.
are you getting it back at a reasonable time? Because I've sent one in. It was supposed to be 2 months. I got it back 2 years later.
From Ellen?
Not from Ellen.
not from
Yeah,
Ellen.
no, they're good. They're very
Really good with the timelines.
Like, it depends on the time of year. Like, obviously tax season comes and everybody's
Their
buying
timelines
shit,
are pretty legit.
but there's nothing taking too long. But they've taken really good care of us since day one. Anything in here's LME stuff on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't work with any other engine builders, and we haven't since 2016.
2016.
We have come across, like I said, people that say they put stuff into engines, and that's not what it is.
Yep. Mine's getting rebuilt again, by the way.
Yeah, and it's
hard to trust what's in there. It's just someone.
And I know what they say is in there is actually in there. Like, that alone is worth my business.
Yeah.
That alone. And that's sad, but it's just like.
I forgot the air shifter on that once in a tune, and it went to like 9,500, and LSs don't rev like that.
Yeah,
like
well,
Harleys.
they did.
And like, I was like, damn, is it going to shift? And I was like, well, all the rod stayed in it. We're good.
They know what they're doing.
They're very good. I like them. That's
They're
been
out
a
of what,
relationship.
Pennsylvania? I
No,
think?
Houston.
Right here. Right down the road.
Oh, shit. Well, that makes it easier.
Yeah.
They're right down
We go
the road.
drive them and pick things up from them, drop motors off there if we're going down that. My brother lives in Galveston, so if we have to go out there, it's there. But yeah, they're right here.
Even when we were in California, we work with them. So
They'll text me like, this motor's on a pallet, and like next day R&L's outside with the motor. Like, they're pretty good.
Yep. So It's like everybody has their niche of engine builder, whether it's because you trust them or let's say it's just because they're a record breaker.
Yep.
Record breaker. Like that's not why I build engines with them. I build them because they're reliable. They don't rip you off.
They could dyno. They have an in-house dyno. They can dyno them in there. They make all their own billet
quality.
stuff. Their
They
valve
communicate.
covers. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the simple things you can ask for, man.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Oh, just being like a decent human being and doing what you say
Yeah.
you're gonna
Okay,
do.
now you're
That's
asking
the
too much,
part.
Dan.
Yeah.
No, and which the
Good
owner,
fucking luck
the
these
owners
days.
are. Yeah, so I respect that.
LME, MoTec, everything.
Yeah.
Let me MoTec.
LME and MoTec.
You guys got classy taste.
I got
Yeah.
very classy taste for a reason. Yes, it is pricey on all ends, but it is what you are getting, dollar for dollar is there. So that's what it comes down to.
You get what you pay for. It's the
100%.
You do.
classic. This is old
Yep.
as time.
We had somebody that came in, they quoted me for a cam job on an LT1 Camaro. They went to that cam special shop. Guess what? It failed the first 30 miles he drove, and he came back to me and had to pay for a whole new cam job. And it's just like the simple things in
You
life.
can't budget any of this. There is budget, but you can't go cheap on these cars. So
And I have budget options. I have budget quality options.
Budget and cheap are two different,
But my
Yes.
budget option does not let you grow,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It gets what you want. Now, if you want to grow, that's going to be more expensive. If you want to make 1,200 horsepower in the future, you have to set yourself up for that. But if you
You're
want
not
to make
going to
600
outgrow
horsepower,
one of those.
yeah.
No
You know,
shot.
it's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
you can make that do whatever you want to do. If I want to stack two of them together, if I, a PDM and that, like you will not outgrow that.
Well, and
You
you
know,
can
so-
pretend all you want that's like, no, I'll be fine with this. There's not a car person in the world that is ever fine with it.
No, they're not.
That's an example of it. The car,
Yeah.
It's never been on a dyno, but it makes every bit of 2,000, 2,500 horsepower.
Yeah.
Fuck, really.
And I've driven it. That car feels slow as fuck.
It does.
You let off trans brake, it'll go 4
But it's
seconds.
the fastest thing we've ever been in.
Yeah, and
I'm like,
it's-
bro, it feels
and
like a
it's-
Cadillac.
And it's not enough. And I tell people that all the time. That's a perfect story of it's not enough. Like we've
yeah,
gone
they're
through
like, I
every
just want to
progression.
feel fast. I'm
You
like,
want to be scared, right? You want to get out of the car.
Then when you get
I'm
the phone
still
call,
searching
like,
for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just want to feel something.
20 freaking years, actually longer than that, probably 35 years. My dad would have a blown truck with like tub tires ripping down the street.
There's
and I've never been
nothing
scared.
like that doing a burnout through a crowd of like 300 people at XRP
With zoomies.
with zoomies and just fucking hats blowing like the violence of that car is awesome. I don't even give a shit if it gets like, yes, we want to win and go fast, but like just the burnout, like rolling burnout through a crowd of people.
I just like
But
the idea of
people get
racing.
used to their stuff. You can have 1,000 horsepower and be used
Yeah.
to it. Like
Yeah.
it's just when people are jumping straight to that 1,000, it's hard.
that's
It's a big
the hard
the
part.
cost for that next 200-300 horsepower is steep. You know.
Well, we talked about this with TCP too. I was like, you ever hand over the keys and go, fuck, I'm going to see that on Copart in a week?
Yeah.
Like, it's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
I've built a 1,000 horsepower car and it left on street tires. I'm like, bro, and it's a very difficult part of this business to know. Just because you could ask for 1,000 horsepower because you've read it in group chats or forums doesn't
Right.
mean you're capable of driving a 1,000 horsepower car.
There's a very small
I could get in
percentage that
one
is.
and it's very manageable. I know exactly when to get off. And I was test driving with the customer. He's like, how'd you know when to let off? I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, yeah, when the car was like, as a car person, you know when. So that
is
is a
weird,
fear. That is a fear that
The internet has screwed up with many
yeah,
people.
it's just because you want the 1,000 horsepower and you were able to listen to enough people who have it doesn't mean you're capable of driving something like that.
I just did a track day. I think my last one I did before the season ended, and it was a small course. And my car is not a small course car. It's a 4,200 pound rear wheel drive Mustang. This is like a drift course, right? Like you're supposed to be spinning around and stuff.
That's cool.
And we got done, and I was with 3 or 4 other Mustangs, and these guys get done, and we're at the awards dinner and all this stuff. And which, by the way, I still came in with some smaller cars that are better at that. I still came in like 3rd or 4th in the whole mix on the deal. And the other Mustang guys are like, well, how many times do you spin out? I'm like, 0
You're like,
times.
"Wait."
And they're like, oh. I mean, they were in the grass. They were around all over the place. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. When it starts to do that, I just don't let it do it. Like, I don't
you probably worked through the progression, right? Like
Yeah.
you've gone like we have
Oh, I've
started when
spun out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not anymore. I don't as much.
Yeah.
we
But-
start at 500, 600, 700.
Yeah.
We go
We
through
did
it.
go through a progression.
Today it's I want 1,000 horsepower. That is a normal phone call to get. Is I want to make
Yep.
1,000 horsepower. Like it's crazy.
Like I
It's
have
kind of the standard now, though,
$200.
sadly.
And you can't, when they want it, the cost point of getting to there versus what the
Yeah.
reality is. Heads cam back in the day was like $3,000. Like on the original LS1 stuff, it was
Triple that now.
nothing. You can't even get a cam parts for less than $3,000. Right
Yeah.
now. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's evolved. It's fun. But
Yeah.
it's like that's what I have to do. Like he's not on forum, social media, other than Instagram, which doesn't really count. You have to like watch the internet, right? You have to see what's popping up. You do have to see trends because you're like, I don't want to miss out on it. I want to see if that's something we want to try because new technology comes out.
Yep.
It's like you want to be involved with that. And so
There's like people want to build a crazy big NA car, right? That's a niche where people want to do it. I just want to put 2650 on the car. It's just simple.
That is a weird thing, right? Like the whole
It
NA
is.
thing.
Nothing's
it's
wrong.
very expensive, right?
We've
And
been beat
Yeah.
by an NA car. Like it's happened. We've had our some
That's
fast
its
cars
own
get
cult.
we
beat.
built
It
an
happened.
NA car. It was
Yeah.
fucking expensive. We were the
Yeah.
first 440 cubic inch LT for 6 gens. We had our own 6 gen. We put a lot of money into that motor. This is before any aftermarket head came out for them. So it's only what the stock casting could do, right? So we're limited. So
Now they're running
Now-
on crazy fuels.
now
like, you're
the
putting them on-
technology has changed, right? Like you buy something new and then a new TV comes out the next freaking day with more technology.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with us with our motor build, right? So it's like
But now they run them on nitro. Like it's
Well,
like
we
not
had a full
like
weight
normal.
thing, too.
we
They
had
did
a
it.
full weight vehicle, full exhaust, AC, cage in it, not what your typical Grudge racer will do.
Yeah.
Like, but we wanted to do what we thought a consumer would do. And then we moved to Texas and we realized everybody guts their shit. And we're like, this is a 2020 Camaro and it's gutted. Like, what did you do? So we were in
Standard
utter,
back seat delete, passenger seat
we
delete.
were in
every car.
utter shock
Yeah.
when we moved here to Texas and these kids are gutting out their brand new showroom floor ZL1s. And we didn't understand it. We're like, oh, this is a whole nother level. Like these
It's
kids
a level of dedication.
are on
Maybe
a
that's the
whole
level
nother
that
level.
Mirza has, but yeah.
Dude, Jesus Christ! One of our one of the GM engineers we had on the show, he has a Gen 5 Camaro, and I think he said he weighed it in at like 2,800 pounds.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gauges zip tied to the
I
firewall.
believe it. Yeah, yeah.
And shit like
And
carry with it.
that's not, if you look at my car, it's full interior.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
everything.
We
Carpet.
just made up with it with boost. Like fuck it. What's another 10 pounds?
I
of
don't
boost?
want to race in a tin can.
What I like about you guys too is you're not like some of these shops get stuck to a secret sauce and they just kind of go like I see centrifugals, PDs, turbos. Like you guys are like, you want boost? We don't give a fuck what flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do,
I don't
let's
give
do
a
it
fuck.
however.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I like a
We
Pro
love
Charger.
nitrous.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we grew up on nitrous.
Would I build that for a customer? Probably not.
I mean, I
it's
build that for a
simple-
customer.
It's simple to put a Maggie on a car and drive it everywhere, and not like like your Pro Chargers are very linear with boost and RPM, where a Maggie's instant now.
Yep.
There's less issues with them. Like
You got to gauge your customer.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I want to try everything too. So my wife has a 13 Mustang Pro Charged,
Okay.
and I have my cars are PD cars,
Fun.
and then my
Fun.
diesel is a turbo.
And then
Yeah.
he tried
Fun.
my VW GTI, and he's like, "This is so fun now."
Yeah,
You should have heard it.
it's zippy.
a little blow off.
Zippy is the word. Yeah.
Zippy.
God, I miss
It
that
is.
car.
It's bite size. I love it.
The LGB GTI.
But I think I open him up sadly to. I'm like, we need to do this because like I'm seeing things that
Yeah.
pop
the
up.
first
I'm
six
like,
gen,
just
the first
do it.
6 gen we ever did in 2016. That's it right there.
That's
It's
it,
so funny.
actually.
It's right there. I did not want to do it. It was difficult. No one was
cursed
doing
at
them at
me.
the time. We put it on foot. That is the very first 6 gen that we ever did, and was probably one of the first 6
He said,
gens ever
I
to have a
never
cam.
want to do another one again. And I said,
Yeah, I know. Imagine.
I said,
I would have been back
what?
at BMW.
Guess what? This is all you're going to do, so you're going to have to learn to love it. And guess what? It's his favorite platform.
But you
now.
started with LS, and then the LT came out, and that
It was
was like
different.
a game changer back then. Now it's just standard, and now you get the C8 and every other progression.
So kind of touch
after
on that. Okay, so what did you have to learn to love?
Abuse? I don't know. What are you talking-
I'm on that section too, bro.
Sounds like a
late-
typical
learn,
GM.
yeah, you got to sit late nights on the dyno. Like you got to learn. Yeah, sometimes like you
takes
look at a tune
time.
revision, you're on like revision 22, and the tunes start saying "fuck this car." Like the names get real creative when you get that far up, and then you finally find like that solved
So
the
we
problem.
call it tuition bills.
It's tuition bill, is what
So
it
it's
is.
a tuition bill. So if something goes wrong and he has to learn it and it takes him, he thought it was only going to take him 4 hours and it's taking him 5 days, it's a tuition bill.
MoTec was a tuition bill because the way that Haltech wired into that computer and what signals it grabbed and what I was capable to do, that was a tuition bill. That one took weeks longer than it should have, but now I feel very confident in Haltech compared to not using Haltech on a lot of stuff.
All right, Dan, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think your wife loves you?
Ooh, it's got to be like an 8, solid 8.
So I think it would be great if she used your credit card to go to tunedbyshawn, SHAWN.com, to get you a Haltech ECU for 5% off using code Minnoxide. Does that math out?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think we tell her about this ad until it runs, though.
So the Haltech
takes
is
time.
just what you want to put your, but you got to like the abuse, like as sad as that
And
sounds.
so when we were in California, how I treated him was like, you better do this or else, right? And it was horrible. I was a bad wife. When we moved here, I was scared. I was straight up scared. I was like, I need to be nice. I need to be nicer to him or else he's going to leave me. I need to be sympathetic. So whatever he needed, I would just adjust for it, right? Whether he needed time, whether
Dude, like
he
you're
needed...
3 days behind on a car, that's going to
That's
throw, if
fine.
we're booked out,
That's okay.
sometimes we're booked out, let's say 3 months, and this car goes a week extra.
It's okay.
That's going to screw up that entire
So I learned when I
snowball.
moved here, it's okay. Like, I don't want you not tightening something because you're stressed out about it. Like, that's fine. Take 3 weeks more. I don't care. We'll figure it out. You know, so that's something I learned and progressed as a business owner. You know, yes, like, oh, you have to do it now. No, when it comes
no
to high
point-
performance, you can't do that.
There's no other employees here, so there's nothing else.
You can't blame nobody.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I screw up, it's on me. I know every nut and bolt in the car, which is huge, which most shops don't.
It's
have
kind of
that.
crazy when you look in here. What do you have? Like almost 20 cars here?
Yeah.
That is kind of crazy to think that your hand has been on every single one of these.
No one else's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it helps because I will remember every nut and bolt. So if someone called me, I'm like, hey, check that. Like I
would
know
know.
exactly what's on it.
He would know.
It's
that's
just,
crazy to me.
you're making 1,000 horsepower car. Like, man, you can't, not that I'm sure there's tons of shops with a lot of capable techs, but
sure.
I've always been so scared to bring someone in and then find out the hard way. You know, like
can't find out
you'd
the
have
hard
to bring somebody in at like top tier level to come work on this stuff, not learn on. Like I see people, oh, we're hiring
There's like
entry
3
level.
people I would trust
Yeah.
to bring in the shop. And they are doing their own thing in a good way, and we remote tune with them. So
Yeah, so it's the caliber. What you could hurt somebody with this stuff, and then you got to make sure you do it all right, and make sure you have the time with the customer to tell them about it, teach them about it. And so that's what's scared me from that. But everyone in here is sitting here for a reason with something, like, you know.
and we're excited about it, you know, like I think about each and every car every day.
I don't like having 3 in the middle right here. I want this whole floor space open.
mine doesn't
And
count.
one in the dyno room is a perfect shot for me.
Yeah,
If
there's
I have
a little
this,
much. There's a little much.
Too many cars in here right now.
It's winter time.
Yeah.
I'm like a chipmunk.
Winner. Sure, we'll call it that.
I was at
We're
the
having
hotel.
a snow flurry on Wednesday. Okay.
I was at the hotel earlier this morning. I look out my window, I look down, I was like, oh, there's water in that pool. That's crazy.
It's actually movable. It moves.
The highest I've heard your voice go, by the way.
And it's open. I'm like, it literally like is like
Is
a
it
running
heated?
deal. I don't know. It had the pumps running and
Well,
everything.
they
39
run,
degrees
yeah.
is warm
Yeah.
enough.
They'll kick on. Like
It's okay. It's a Joe Rogan ice bath. Who cares?
No, fuck that. Nope.
I did that for a solid year, and then I started almost passing out. I'm like, yeah, let's dial this back a little
No,
bit.
I don't know if I could do that.
Did you say almost passing out?
Yeah, I got absurdly high blood pressure for a 25-year-old. Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's a doctor problem.
He's
But-
45 at heart, for sure.
I don't think you understand. When he's 25 and I'm 40, I fucking mean it. But anywho, shoot, I lost. I had a great one in there. So one of the things I'm noticing here, it seems like there's really no cheap builds here. And I'm not saying the stuff that you do, but almost like your clientele kind of like understands like what they're getting into. Is that a fair assumption, or am I making shit out of thin air?
Honestly, if I look at other competitors' pricing and we're like some of the
Everybody
cheaper
says it
pricing-
like, damn, that's a great price. I'm like, what the fuck are
What
these
did I
people
fuck up?
charging? Like,
Yeah. So I'm on the opposite end because I'll see what other shops charge to do a job, and I'm like, I would have been half
I've
that.
seen research fees on invoices. Like, imagine getting your bill back and it says research fee. So you're telling me you charge me, like, I would never do that. Like, I take that tuition
like-
bill. You know, like we do hear a lot in our pricing, even
I'll
though
do a $800 tune, like we'll do that on a daily basis. But I would love, like, people want more horsepower. It's addictive, right? Like you get a little bit, you want more.
Maybe in the LS stuff, they wouldn't understand what they're getting into. Like the LS is not, it doesn't snowball so quick.
Yeah.
The LT shit could go from
Yeah.
like, oh, I just got this flex fuel car, and then
then 20
boom, go off
grand.
the deep end. Like there's a huge bit. That is, there's
yeah.
nothing that snowballs more than like an LT fuel system and going up that way. So I think a lot of them understand. And then if we're pushing the products like this, like if you see that, you're automatically going to expensive, and
Right.
it's half the cost. Both of you guys, it's half the cost of what you thought.
There's maybe
it was,
two
so.
people in Texas that are known maybe for MoTec and the GM, and we are one of them, you know?
Okay.
So it's like, it's not many. And I like that. I like being different. I want to do something different than other people are doing. I like not doing ice tanks. I like doing interchillers, you know, and I can have my 95 reasons why 99% of the people would want that over, you know, an ice tank. I'll pick a Magnuson over a Pro Charger, and I'll give you a reason why, you know, but every person is different in their goals.
The clientele will evolve to what they're seeing you do. And I was laughing. I was watching an interview with Tony Palo with T1. I'm like, that dude's my hero. He will not take in a car unless it's on MoTec.
Was that the one that he did with Street Alpha?
Yes, T1 race. Like if it's not on MoTec, they don't take it in. I'm not that like to that level of doing it. And our
But he would
markets,
love to be.
I would love to be, but our market's not like, I got to be reasonable. But
Yeah.
his market, the customer probably evolved. Like I think he even started in the Honda stuff, and like he evolved it. But if you're not coming in at that particular shop, I think they were talking about like 50,000 is their entry level into that shop. In all MoTec, like nothing else but MoTec. So it was crazy to hear that.
That's our goal, right?
Yeah.
We
Well,
want that. That's our goal.
And
is
it's
for
just-
these people to come in, you know, with our $60,000 package. Let's start here and then move up, you know. But what pays the bills, you know, is getting people introduced with a tune, flex fuel, supercharger, or heads and cam, and it, you know, people grow.
And that might not be for everybody. Like there's some instances I can't put a MoTec on. I would like to, but there's some cars that it doesn't fit their needs. They maybe want to stop at 850, and that's what they want
Or
to do.
550
Yeah, or
or
550.
450.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Like, and that's fine. That's where I started. So it's like where we came from, and I used to pay a shop for parts. Like I said, I went to another shop and bought parts. Like we came from that.
Yeah. And I think this is more of an obsession where you could just nerd out on all the stuff this thing could do. Like that's where it comes, like just wanting to do more of it because I know what it's capable of. So that's where that next level of passion comes
He's
from.
excited to do it.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
when you want to work with something, don't you want to work with somebody that's excited about something? Like that's what draws you to pay someone, right? Like you don't want to pay somebody that's not excited at what they do.
Saying,
They're
fuck
like, yeah,
your
thank
car.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Working on it.
Right? Like I don't want to work on your shit, but thanks anyway. You know, you want somebody excited to work on your car. Not saying that only MoTec would make us excited to work on your car, but just having the same passion and knowledge in what we do in this field, you know, gets us
We're
excited.
known for these 6 gens. Like that's what we've done a lot of. And there's like little micro record thing, but they keep a list of like the top 26 gens. I don't know how wide this list goes, but we got like 4 or 5 of them on that list of the top fastest 6 gens.
That's legit.
So someone
don't know that.
someone kept a spreadsheet and did all that. And at one point we had 5. We might have got 1 knocked off, and we got like 3 more coming. Like so we like this platform. We're pushing this platform as far as we can. 7s are difficult unless you got turbos on them. We don't have a lot of that clientele, so it's all 2650 Magnuson.
Well, we're getting more turbos.
So yeah, I mean, I guess the more we work on them, the more of the same product we put out there and could show the benefits of it, that it'll attract more people to it.
What are your guys' choice for a turbo?
Custom. I just did
Custom kits, but with
I
precision.
did a
Precisions? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did an off-the-shelf kit the other day, and that's a project that went. I'd never done one, and it went at least a week extra. That was a tuition
That was a
bill to
tuition
know
bill.
to never do it again. I didn't charge.
We charge like $1,800. We should have charged 10 grand.
Yeah, like I even texted her. I was like, I wouldn't touch this again for 10 grand. And there's some people that love that job, install it all day long, and could probably do it quicker, better, easier than I did because they do it all day long. It's just not a direction I want to go.
It doesn't make him happy.
Yeah, that job didn't. You think like installing turbos will make you happy on a car? Now, custom doing a turbo kit and getting the car and installing the MoTec, tune it, race it, yeah. But I don't fabricate here or do any of that. So
I was going to ask, who does like fab work for you?
I have a local guy who does all the turbo kits for me. If we're going to custom build one, like it's JFab in Frisco, he's doing a twin turbo kit on it, the car that's supposed to go Texas 2K
Okay.
in 29 days or whatever it is.
I think it's less than that, by the way.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. Just want to freak you out a little bit.
I'm like, shh.
So, I mean,
Check my calendar, actually.
to wake up every day and get to work on stuff like this all day, and like I take incredible pride in the shop and keeping it clean and cars clean. Like if you don't bring it to me clean, like we're usually
He gets
washing it
mad.
outside. Yeah, like bring
I
it to me
might
clean.
have to put that on the check-in. Like, please bring in clean.
I'll give it back to you clean, but don't bring it to me. Like some cars come in, I'm like, no.
He has a problem.
Well, I got to give you props on that too, right? Because like when it's just you and, well, technically two of you, but like when
Yes,
it's like
yes,
technically
yes.
you
Yes,
by
it's
yourself
him.
in here, it's so easy to let it slip and just be absolutely fucking disgusting. And
Yeah.
the fact that you're able to keep it clean and keep that accountability, that is rare to see.
He can thank his mom for that.
I'm OCD. Like when we take a car apart, it goes onto a cart just with that car, and then we wrap that cart in saran wrap. So nothing, dirt gets in, nothing gets in.
We have
And
muffin
then-
pans.
And then all the bolts go in muffin pans that are
Oh, yeah,
divided
I saw that
off.
over there.
Yeah. So it's a weird trick I learned at BMW. And then in there's more carts that are staged with the new parts for the car.
Okay.
So it's a constant. Nothing gets swapped between cars. Everything
So
is
I'm not
organized.
waiting for parts when a car comes in. Like, I know what I need. It's all here. It's ready to go. You bring it in. I install it. Go home.
Like during COVID, like, yeah, engine build times were extended. Imagine taking a car apart and 3 months later having all the stuff to put it all back together.
Don't tell
Make
him
sure
that.
it's
He
all
said
there.
2 years.
Yeah, no.
no. It's
That
like
was
3
a
months,
bad
bro.
choice of an engine builder. I
my
had bought a car that already had a problem, and he promised to split the bill with me, but he picked the builder, and it was not. It did not.
Yeah. 3 months is like
If you
excessive,
don't,
but it's
even
doable
Keeping your tools clean, like if you don't organize stuff, like
per job.
when I was working with people like together in a shop, and you got two people working on a car, and someone thinks they did something and didn't, like,
Oh,
then he
man.
gets confused. And if your stuff's not organized and laid out, like you could bring me one of the, I have had these cars brought to me with a bucket of bolts. I'm talking bins of bolts, unorganized. I could put a 6-gen back together because I've done so many of them. But when I take them apart, it is divided equally by every, like, super
Yeah, he knows
OCD with
a
that.
That's how
6-gen
Bowen-
per bolt.
Yeah.
That's how Bowen got my Celine Cobra, by the way. This is the
And
same.
bolts?
And yeah, it was in buckets.
It happens.
The same thing. Well, I took the car apart, sent the engine to go get built, and then 2 years later, I got the fucking engine back. I had already had to move the car. It was on my lift. I dropped the whole K-frame out, like to get the engine and everything. And then it was like I had other shit I want to do, so I moved things around, and then it just got to be a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
And so I took, but he's a 20-year master Ford tech, so he, like you, he knew where all the bolts
Yeah,
go.
he
So
knows
I
it.
showed up to
He didn't even
Jared's house, and
care.
I said, "I'm sorry, please help me."
He didn't care. He was like, as long as it's all here. I
all
don't
that
care.
structure, like I got from BMW. Like we used to take body shop cars apart and put them on. All of it comes from working from a highline industry. We had $1 million floors in that dealership. Like you had to present yourself to a certain standard, and will stick with me forever. Like I won't go home until this shop is clean every night. You will never find shit. There's gonna be a bad night where I'm like, just shut the doors. I'm done. Like today's not my day. But like come in, this is standard how this shop will look. So when customers come in and they see how we take care of their cars, like this is number 2 Hennessy Exorcist. Like they're very particular about that car. Like I feel good knowing it's going to be inside, climate controlled. Like,
Or this is this guy's dream car.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care what number, but this
yeah.
is this guy's dream car, and this is all he's saved for, Like, I don't care what number car it is. I will treat them all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, our own car is sitting in here too. Like
Yeah.
we truly treat it like it's our own.
Yeah.
Other shops used to have to keep cars covered because of dust, and California we had a recycling plant next to us, so all the cars would get covered in like crazy dust. Here,
Yeah,
it
but we
stays
would
so
clean
clean.
'em.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Are you working on anything else? Like I know you say you did some Toyotas, but what would be like the next biggest
Hellcat.
thing?
I mean, we do Hellcats. We do Scat Packs. Back in 2016 and 2017, we did a lot of R&D on Hellcats. So we have like our specific niche on
that
them.
market's pretty, like there's some good people out here with the Dodge stuff. Like in the builds, we'll refer some of that stuff out, but like there's certain, if it hits
I'll build a badass Hellcat.
if it fits what we want to do, like we just did
I'm
one.
very
like-
particular. So I have my people will cheap out. People have their own builds for their Hellcats, and I'm like, no, this is the only way I do it because this is what works, right?
But like, do people have their daily drivers? Like I've done Tundra stuff. I've done like some random one-off exhaust systems, but like a Tundra Maggie, because we have such a relationship
Forerunner.
with Maggie, Forerunners, we'll do those. Doesn't once a year maybe.
Yeah, right.
Maggie, okay. Maybe
Any
a couple
Fords
times.
rolling through here at all?
No.
I will do the new Magnuson on the new Mustangs.
Oh yeah, that's right. They got a
Yep.
Magnuson now.
So they got the new Magnuson for them. I haven't gotten one in yet, but shocker,
I won't I wouldn't even touch a Ford Tune anymore.
But I will
yeah.
do it with a Magnuson with them.
Well, you don't know how to adjust those cams that do all that.
No,
shit.
bro, you guys, we have 2 timing tables. We have high octane, low octane.
Yeah.
Fords have like 30.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
They don't want to know his rate for that.
I'm good.
There's a couple people in the world that tune Fords, and there's a reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you got your power players,
Yeah.
and I always
I'm
make
like,
fun of my
that's-
buddies. I'm like,
there's
you
a
guys all
reason.
use the same tuner. There's 2 of you, 3,
Yeah.
however many Ford
So
tuners
yes,
are
there's
there.
many parts installers for Ford, but
Yeah.
there's only a couple.
There's a couple
tuners.
tuners for them.
You know, like
I've
we
been through
will
a
do.
handful of them.
We will
Yeah.
do MoTec. I will do MoTec on Ford. I would love to do Lamborghini on Ford. Or sorry, Lamborghini with MoTec. I would love to get
R8,
into
stuff like
Vipers.
that.
I would love to get into Vipers.
Who knows? We'll see what that all turns
Like
into.
So what does that look like then? Because that's still like dual overhead cam.
It's
variable
at
cam
the end of the
timing
day,
stuff,
any
like-
motor is an air pump, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is in and out. So it's just learning
So
the rest of that stuff.
we're
But-
hoping to expand to an all-wheel drive dyno. That's our next step. Like I said, I would love to get into Lamborghini and MoTec. That's something we're
It's
talking
not like you're
about.
gonna like go borrow a Lambo though and
You know
put
what
it
I
on
mean?
MoTec.
R&D car. I
but
don't know.
You never know. It might run
That stuff
See
kind
what we
of
get
comes in
into.
naturally though. Like even like our friends at Rada Race Lab, like they were doing these like RS3s and stuff. Now they're doing like Porsches. They had a twin turbo R8 that just got sold by Chicago Motor Cars. Like just a variety of stuff. You never know what's gonna come
We're
through.
unstopped with MoTec, right? Other than
Right.
the fabrication part, but if it comes to tuning, wiring,
And I got pretty good support. Like
do.
the people I work with MoTec are very like, if I had needed things written or changed, like we could do
Well,
it.
you're not reinventing the wheel either, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
No.
like twin turbo Huracans have been around since like the beginning,
Yeah.
or R8s or
Yeah.
Vipers, whatever.
That'd be like a dream, but is it really working on that kind of car? And I'm sure those come with its own set of problems, and you're gonna have to.
But you got to think, we grow, our customers grow. So I've had customers that had a Camaro SS, to
True.
a
ZL1
ZL1 to a Z06, and now they might want a Lamborghini or an R8. So it's like you want to kind of grow with them as well, So that's what's kind of, hey, I had a Camaro SS, but now I got a ZL1. Like, what do I do now? So it's like you kind of want to grow with them. Whether it's they are becoming more successful in life and now they got a Lamborghini, it's like, well, okay, well, we could do this to it. So it's like, that's what's thinking in the back of our
A
heads.
Camaro I was able to buy as a project, as an R&D car. I don't know if I could just go out there and get a Lambo and be like, oh, fuck.
Tuition build.
That's a big tuition bill.
Well, even like yesterday, we just had Cobb on, and they were talking about like like the GT3 RS Wysock package. It's like, yeah, we can't exactly like, and they're a big company, and even
Yes.
they're like, yeah, this is a $250,000 car.
I know.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. He would love that.
There's got to be a big enough market of them to
That's
sustain
it.
a business, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like why we didn't get into like the C7 ZR1. It's like it's a very small market,
It is a
right?
tight market.
So I was like, do you really want to invest into this R&D car for this little small market? Not really.
and then if you got somebody who's killed that market already, like you're not gonna just jump into it and
Well,
try
same
to
thing with
do
like
it,
Vipers,
yeah.
right? It's like Calvo and
Yeah.
Enthmoto, and then you got a few small other players, right?
Yeah.
But like at the end
I
of the
just
day,
want to do it for myself.
Well, even
okay, yeah, it's a me thing.
I want a Viper.
Calvo talks because they're all handmade, I guess. Like I watched his podcast and he talks about like there's a day dedicated to shimming the fucking bumpers, like
Yeah.
bumpers and trim, like a whole
It's the one Dodge with
day.
a bumper that's aligned.
Yeah, it was the whole day into shimming the bumper. Like it's so crazy how different our businesses are, but at its core, how similar all of our
Yeah,
businesses
that's very true.
are. Like we do completely different price points on what we do, and what is super expensive to me is just a drop in the bucket for some of these other
Yeah.
shops. But
And like what we like what we see ourselves is like a 6-gen ZL1. Like if I was a car, I'd be a 6-gen ZL1.
if I didn't,
Actually, I'd be my Mustang. But reality, I'd be a 6-gen ZL1.
if I didn't live on a back road, I'd have a ZL1. But
Yeah. I mean,
I
we've
don't live
had
in the city.
We've had 11 Camaros. Okay, we've had our due time. But it's like, that's where we fit in. That's what makes us happy right now. Would I love a Lamborghini? Would I love a Viper? Yes. Yes.
I can tell you, I come from that Viper world. That's. I'm telling you. Well, actually, you guys are no strangers to horsepower, but like, yeah, after being in an Nth Viper, it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
Someday.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm like, can we just do Vipers? Thank you.
Yeah, until it's like what, $20,000 for
Yeah.
a bumper.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, well, they just ran out of windshields, like OEM windshields, like last year, I think.
Because of the production.
Yeah, no,
okay,
he stopped
there's
producing
time, yeah.
fucking everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it's,
Yeah,
I
see,
think
I don't like
a
that
C7
hassle.
came out in 14, right? The first C7.
Yes.
So they stopped making parts after 10 years. And
Yep.
GM, like 10 years, will stop producing a part.
Yeah.
So These guys, it's crazy to think how much
But
time
things
went by
fade
like
out, so we need to progress.
that. Yeah. We got to keep going to the next thing and learning new products.
But
and
it's like,
stuff
when
like
is that platform, like realistically, let's say that, you drop the C7 in 2014.
Yeah.
You start making like noticeable gains in development probably like what, 4 or 5 years after?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
already halfway through the generation
Yes.
before you start modding it beyond.
And that's why you go like crazy after my
At least you won't have to worry about staying up on the Camaro. My
Yeah.
friend says the car's so great they killed it twice.
Yeah.
Shout out
True-
to
True
Indecestro.
story. Yeah. I figured I got like 10 years from the last time one was produced,
Yeah, we
and they'll
got
still
10
be
years.
around.
His bones are only going to last for so long.
Yeah, like my body's gonna give. Like I have at a certain point, I've got to do something because at a certain age,
Tuning.
like it's yeah.
Yes.
Tuning, or you get into they doing the
You get
remote
lazy
stuff
like
and-
Justin and you just go to tuning.
Yeah, no, that man is anything but lazy.
I know.
If I pop a fuse at the track, I'm done for the night. This fool broke a diff, and he was like searched it and did it on the nuts.
It
No
was a
thanks.
rental.
I don't give a shit what it is. Like no.
No, I know.
Like if I got to change stators on that car, we're going to the next race.
He's like, you're good.
And it's got to bolt together so I
Here's the
can change
beer.
stators. No, thank you.
God, yeah. Shout
done
out
with
Justin.
yeah.
We love you, man.
Yeah, I think we've got to be like 3 hours in.
Okay.
There's no way we're not, right? My clock got a little fuzzy about an hour and a half ago,
Okay.
so I was like, man, this whiskey is feeling light.
You got
That
enough to
whiskey
edit?
is good.
Oh, you think I edit this fucker?
Oh, okay.
I just edit whatever you tell me to edit. But that's the thing.
We're
Like,
good.
I tell this to all my guests. I'm like, you get 3 cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You only took 2.
Yeah, we're
You had to
good.
go pee.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, but yeah, it's
These are
whatever.
free cuts.
You had to go
By law, we're allowed to let you have a bathroom break.
You need a lock?
Yeah.
If you want me to heat up and eat Chinese, I can.
Did you guys get all the questions you want answered or anything?
I think so.
You think I had a list? That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's fine.
Dude, honestly, this is like,
What was he going to ask? He said he was going to save something.
Probably
I
Turbo
wanted to ask
400.
about the Netflix stuff.
Oh,
You got it
okay,
covered.
okay.
I just wanted to
Netflix,
know.
Turbo 400s, MoTec,
Yep.
Shop.
Motel shop, shop, shop.
yeah, we don't play our cards right. We'll be up until 6 a.m. for sure. Like this is like, this is definitely on the more fun side of episodes for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
and I'll
cool.
leave that in the cut too.
that's
So
cool.
shout out. But
Okay.
but yeah, Dan, do you want to pop the usual 3?
Yeah.
Because they're batshit insane. So let's see how this
Yeah.
goes.
All right. So at the end of every
Take another
episode,
shot.
we like to ask our guests to pick 3 cars. I need a daily driver, a show car, and a track car. You can pick whatever you want. You can swap whatever you want, build whatever you want. You have an unlimited budget. What are you going to pick?
That's easy.
I need 3 from each.
I'm gonna daily drive a 03 Cobra. Even if I put all the money in the world,
Yeah?
fucking perfect daily driver.
love that
with a Ford motor.
Fuck. Oh, yeah? All right,
Yes.
cool. I was
I'm
assuming you
good.
were going to say something else. I'm like, damn it.
No.
I'm good with that. What was the other one? Road race and
No.
Track car.
Car.
You pick the
track car. Man, I would do like a nitrous, like a lot of fucking nitrous, small tire radial car as a track car. I don't even know what kind of car it would be, right?
Well, I'm gonna make you pick.
Well, you
pick a
need
car.
to pick
Pick
a
one,
car. You just can't pick the power adder.
Man. 69 Camaro, maybe?
Wow.
Yeah.
69 Camaro nitrous. No, sorry. I'm going to take that all back. G-body. G-body, like just gangster looking G-body, nitrous, zoomies, but nitrous, like I'd be all right with that. And then what was the other one?
Well, no, we're locking in for the G body.
G-body.
He would look
On a-
sexy
Any
as
G-body?
On a
He would
G-body.
look sexy as fuck in a
Jeep
G
Slam, just radial race car.
No, we can't just do any G body.
Yeah, which G-body? There's.
Oh, I don't know enough about them,
Just
but
say a
just
Malibu.
a G-body.
Just say a
I don't know.
Malibu. Just say a Malibu.
80s, something like
Yeah,
that.
Malibu.
Dan, help the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Malibu.
and then what was their track car daily?
And the car show.
Well, wait. So he doesn't let people get away without picking
Yeah.
a make, model. We're talking. What do we got? Monte Carlos, Camaros.
Monte Carlo.
Sorry, Monte Carlo.
Monte Carlo.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Monte Carlo.
Yeah, you can't get away
Monte
from
Carlo
me.
SS.
4i? Another 4? No, 2.
No,
right?
yours
it's
just
a-
stop.
that's why
Just-
you changing my
It's okay,
shit
we got enough.
It's
Stop
Monte
it.
Carlo
No more details.
nitrous. It's okay.
And then man, I'm not a car show person.
They can be double duty.
Cobra. Just
Another
fucking
Cobra?
No, yeah,
You
no
got two
mileage.
Cobras?
Like I'm talking
Wow.
like
Okay.
Mystic. I don't even want Mystic Chrome.
Yeah.
That's
You
a
gotta
rare
do
one. I don't like.
orange,
I don't
bro,
like Mystic Chrome.
orange.
The orange or the yellow.
Yeah, you don't like
But
the
like no
Mystic.
mileage on it, just stock as fuck.
What's the over under? He says, never mind, hold on.
No, I'm good with that one. Like
competition
I truly
orange.
I'm not. I don't think to go supercar. Like it doesn't seem like anything
Yeah.
like that car was a
you would
dream
pick a
car.
GT3.
GT3 RS. Yeah,
Show car, okay.
Yeah,
show
he'd pick
car,
a
maybe.
GT3.
Like the most recent one, or
yeah.
yeah, the one that's like what, 300 grams or something. Roll cage in it. And
Chump
shit.
change for a guy like you.
Yeah. We are a shop owner.
It's a Camaro shop. Let's relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, these Chevy guys fucking really rake it in. It's crazy.
When I heard Calvo saying like, man, we don't make much money, I'm like, oh fuck, we're ruined.
Yeah, right.
when you hear someone like that with cars like that, and he's
Yeah.
talking about
Dude,
like,
you
it
talk
is-
to a lot of these big shop owners. Like, well, I mean, you listen to some of these podcasts too. It's like, it's pretty, like, you don't get into building cars to make money from what it sounds like.
You don't.
You want it to fuel your passion,
Right.
Right. At
Yeah.
the end of the day,
That's it. It's just fueling my
that's a
passion.
legitimate
Exactly.
write-off. The trailers are like, it's all stuff that normally would not be, and it is 100% purpose-built for a full-time deal.
So we're able to
that's what
justify.
pushed it. So
Well, you got to look at the volume too. Like they work on a very niche market of not a lot of stuff. Like there's the Camaros are like cockroaches, man.
They're
They're freaking
everywhere.
everywhere. There's, you know, you're not gonna get rid
I
of
love
them.
it.
Yeah.
Give it
Yeah.
to me.
so
You'll be working on these in 30 years.
Yeah, give
Yeah.
it to me.
Yeah.
GT3 RS show car, Monte Carlo race car,
Okay.
03 Cobra daily driver.
All right.
So you're up.
I love my Land Rover Defender as my daily driver.
Is it like a newer Defender? Or?
Yeah, the new one. I had one. I would get it again. So much fun. It made me happy every time I got in it. Just fun, especially on back roads. Race car. I'll just say, because I already have my dream race car, which is this one, but I'll say for a road course, I would do a 2015 Z28 Camaro. For
So
road
choose
cars.
that or this now.
You can have multiple answers. Harris doesn't let that.
No,
fly.
I already have my.
So you're
I'm
locking
All right,
this
so
one
then
in?
you're locking in the.
Okay, I got
Cobra.
my dream car.
Okay.
That's
All right.
it.
Race
That's,
car.
That's it. That's my race car. Show car. Shit. It'd probably be my 51 Merc. Be a 51 Merc. Yeah, chopped, lowered.
Okay.
I love low riders. Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on a
They're
whole
all over
nother
my
level.
Facebook Marketplace right now. So
No. I don't want
We-
it. It just
Flew in here with a one-way ticket because we couldn't like book another flight because we didn't know sometimes we get podcasts on the fly, we maybe stay extra, whatever. So he's had me for a month now, just like shopping marketplace. We're like, well, just instead of renting a car, especially if you take something home that's not rusty. So I've been looking at trucks and things like that. So we're gonna buy some shit
Okay.
and just drive home. We ended up renting some because I couldn't get anything that was as good of a deal as I wanted to. But
okay.
How far is that drive?
That's cool.
yeah,
don't worry, we're picking something up in Kansas on Sunday.
yeah, I did.
Are
Find
you?
a truck? Yeah.
What did you get?
I'm getting a Navigator. I bought one off Copart for my wife, but
gonna-
Big.
it's gonna
Those
make
are
it home?
big.
it's got 340,000 miles
Is
on
it
it.
a
doesn't
V10,
know.
V10 or?
No, it's a 3.5 EcoBoost.
Oh, okay.
But with
Oh.
340,000 miles, I asked him, I was like, I don't know if it's gonna make the 6-hour drive home, but I need it for the parts.
Okay.
So
They just got to make it. To
yes,
get back
I
home.
made him a ridiculous offer. He was trying to talk to me at the coffee shop this morning. I was like, excuse me, I'm busy lowballing people on Facebook.
Yeah,
And he
literally said
actually
that.
took it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Oh,
I got it for half what he was
shit.
asking.
There's
so,
still navigators around?
Yeah.
Oh,
This is,
shit.
2015.
Damn.
Yeah, we've been on some cool
2015?
prototype ones too.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, where can people find you?
Instagram, Accelerated Racing Solutions. Facebook, Accelerated Racing Solutions. YouTube.
Drive north all the way till you almost hit Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's us. You hit Choctaw, you've gone too far. Turn back.
AcceleratedRacingSolutions.com.
XRP, Yellow Belly.
Yeah, you can find us at the track anytime.
Find us at the track
Yep. We are there present.
from now till it fucking gets cold again.
till November.
Yeah.
So from March till November, we will be at the track.
What a long season compared to us, by the way.
Yeah.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, perfect. Brandon, Tiana, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank
Thank you guys.
I'll be honest with you, I was like, hold on, what are their fucking names again? Because
That's okay. You're never gonna forget my name. You can't even lie about that.
Dan, thanks for existing, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
As always, guys, be sure to check out all of our sponsors. They are what make this show possible. It allows us to travel and have some awesome guests on the show. So whether it's HP Academy, Tuned by Sean, or Hayes Performance, all these guys have awesome services, products, everything in between. So be sure to check them out. All the codes are in the show note description or on my Instagram or wherever else I've mentioned it in the show. So be sure to check it out, and we'll see you all next time.